Welcome, guys and gals, to Late Night in the Midlands on the L&M Radio Network. This is Show Us, Don't Tell Us. And I'm one of the guys, Skills, and we have Papa Bear. And unfortunately, Michael Bejas will not be with us tonight. He has some unfortunate commitments he has to deal with, unless he randomly pops in. But he has a lot on his plate at the moment. But anyways, we have a wonderful guest once again tonight, and that's Keihn. And we've had her on before, and she's just so knowledgeable. It's unbelievable, man, I tell you. So on that note, I'm going to hand it over to that Papa Bear guy.
My goodness, you didn't leave much for me to say, did you? Anyway, I'm Papa Bear. Welcome to Show Us, Don't Tell Us. And tonight we've got Keihn. My goodness, Keihn knows a lot about what she's talking about here. We're talking about how bad the legal system is sticking that red, white, and blue shaft right up your butt. And I'm not even gonna prolong it anymore. Carol, welcome to the show.
Hi. Hello. Greetings, everybody.
Greetings.
And
It's
welcome aboard.
It's good to hear you.
Thank you. I'm glad somebody's still hearing this voice. This vibrating, that means I'm a live woman.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Well, welcome aboard for round 2. Good heavens. And it's been, how many months? When was the last time you were on the show, Carol? Do you recall?
Probably 2 or 3 months at least.
Well, that's good because that gains knowledge.
Actually, I think it was in the summer when I got accosted in the parking lot. But
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, and I have a replay of that show on YouTube. I was going to do a live YouTube video, but it didn't work out. So actually, we've got the show going on at L&M Radio Network. Anyway, I'm sorry, Carol. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. I'm all right. Cut me off. I cut people off all the time. I don't know about the delay and the.
Do you use the turn signal?
Delay.
Okay.
Yeah. Many times I've even had people say, I hate listening to her, she cuts them off, and I'm thinking, you got that right, you should be my husband. It's really bad then.
Oh.
Well, now you got to start driving around with your hazards on. Go ahead, Papa.
Oh my goodness. I can imagine. I'll bet, leave Carol alone. She does well on her own. Don't bother the woman while she's working.
Right, I like it. I like to aggravate people too. It's okay.
All right.
When I see, is it Barry?
Yes, ma'am.
And when I see him, I'll give him a big bear hug and swing him around in a circle. I'm one of those big old Indiana corn-fed girls. I'm about 5'10".
There you go.
And I am, yeah. So.
There you go. I wanted to touch on something here. the rumor is that Washington, D.C. is no longer. It's gone. Okay?
Oh, in Virginia? It
And
absorbed into Virginia?
Yeah, now there's a dispute over the state line. But right now it's in the jurisdiction of Virginia.
Indiana's over there, too. There's a state line. There's a line of Indiana. It's called Indiana between West Virginia, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. It might be the top of Virginia, but there's a real slim line, and there's a place like that in California, too, where it's... this is adult. There's no children, I hope. Anyway, it's kind of like Taint.
Yeah.
It's the land between two valleys.
I know what you're talking about.
It doesn't belong to either one. It taint that or it taint that one.
Yeah, taint this one, taint that one. Yeah, got it.
What happens? That's one way to clarify it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a way that they may remember. I always remember the number 69 for some reason, although it's not something I practice much, but 69 I can remember.
Yeah, so can I. You know what the square root of 69 is? 8 something.
Is it
yeah.
Wait a minute now. Is it 6 or 9 or let's see.
Yeah,
7.
The square root. The square root of 69. It's 8.
I think it's 7.
8 something. Anyway.
Is it?
Yeah. You missed it.
7 times 7 is 49, isn't it?
Yeah, 8 times 8 is 64. 9 times 9 is 81. So it's 8 something. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. I have to use the calculator for that, don't you know?
Yeah. I figured you'd pick right up on that.
Get online with one of the math professors, because this online is how people can kind of find out what they're doing.
Right.
If they want to. They can find out that every single home loan they signed from the year 2000, at least officially. It was in 98 when they really started doing it, though, because they admitted to practicing this technique of buy, sell, buy, and they switch you as a seller. Yeah. And they put the backdated insurance in your name under the your own placed life insurance that the insurance companies are using for the flooding map. After Louisiana, they really went haywire with it, with it's called WYO insurance. So they make you the holder of the land ahead of time under the insurance obligations so that they can quiet the title, and they use your name and they just keep using it. They took you into a private LLC and you're renting a house. You don't own anything because they took it over.
That's
and when they made you the seller, you no longer became a natural person. You unbecame what they call a natural person.
Right.
It's in their quotations, and it's all on those videos that I have on YouTube. So I show the documents to prove this, and I state this in these long videos, but there's a reason for it. It's because I want to show you, put yourself in my place, your documents in the place of those documents, and they did that thing to you too, unless you're an insider. And then, of course, you know what the deal is, don't you? You just made it hard for us to try to figure out all along what you were doing.
Right. Well, I'm not an insider, that's for sure. You know.
Right.
But
I'm not either.
Believe me,
I was shocked.
I lost my place. Of course, you guys know I was homeless when I was accosted in the parking lot. You know. So I'm on a mission.
They didn't. They just tried to get you to cave, and you didn't cave. They didn't get you that day, did they?
No, they didn't get me that day. No, and I still travel. I do my thing. You know, it's no big deal. But what I do is I tell them I'm not contracting with them. I'm not going to contract with you, and I leave it at that because I'm aware of the invisible contracts. So I avoid those. And where I did my election.
You're not supposed to be invisible. What do you mean by invisible? Just in case somebody doesn't know what you mean. Are you talking about adhesion contracts? Invisible
contracts. See, like with citizenship comes invisible contracts, which means licensing and stuff. Okay, they're unsaid, okay, if you will. Okay. Now, if you remember, it was after I was accosted in the parking lot when I got nailed down at this little town called Mechanic Falls. All right, and they actually gave me a ticket. Well, I sent it back, and I refused to contract with them. And I got a letter from the court, and I called the court. I says, "Hey, what's this all about?" I told you I refused to contract. And they says, "Oh yeah, well we're gonna suspend your license." And I laughed. I said, "What license? I don't have a license. I gave it back." And the proof is in the pudding, because if there was such a thing as suspending my license and I had one, I probably would have got something from Department of Motor Vehicles, and I didn't get anything.
They run those license. There's a girl I know somewhere that she doesn't want me to say, but they run those license when they expire. They don't want you to know that they keep using them, the old expired ones.
Oh, they still use the number, yeah. Yeah, but
they do.
I got nothing from Motor Vehicle that
Right.
said any kind of notices or anything. So I know what I did was right. So they got the
Right.
they got the memo, which is pretty good.
Well, I'm glad.
Well, yeah, huh? Takes a while,
They can get this memo. This is a direct message to the wrongdoers. You guys are in such trouble because you are operating a fraudulent scheme in the bankruptcy courts, and the judges are involved. Now, listen, that's fraud upon the office of the court. You also have a duty to have told every single one of us that since at least 2004 that you've had us under a Sharia-compliant contract up in New York. And that contract requires that you disclose to all parties, not 10 years later, not in Congress where you're playing political theater.
Right.
You are required to tell the litigants if they go into your forum, you were required to disclose that. But instead, you went in and created controversy under discovery motions to make the person who you were actually victimized, to allow you to re-victimize them under what is called disclosure and discovery.
Right. Now,
so
you
the
see,
gig is up.
when I did mine, when I went back into the court, I'm like, I thought this was done. You haven't fulfilled Rule 37. Where's the evidence?
They'll get you for 37. They'll get you for 37 and
they
cite
skip
some
right
kind of a
past it.
legislative code. And they'll say that you broke a trial rule, and that's how they do it too. To create the controversy, they'll come in and do something like say they need disclosure, they need this, they need to have a hearing. Then that
Right.
order that judge issues has 2 or 3 different dates in it. Those 2 or 3 different dates will take you back in the chronological time frame to show you what they were trying to cut off that you effectively had done.
Right.
Wow, what a shell
So
game.
they're going to cut it off
Yeah.
in rem, in reverse.
Yeah.
And then
well,
when they come in rem, it's not about your property, it's about you. They're taking the persona.
right.
What persona? They're going in after the man or the
Okay.
woman.
So what if I'd said something like, okay, I am the settler at the estate, and I authorize you to settle this matter, and the settler can be the
I'm not sure,
beneficiary.
because you
or-
could say who owns the superior title to the securities. That would freak them out, but you got to get in their forum. So if you're out of their
Right.
court and you want to go back in for whatever reason, some people have children in there. I think that the answer is this: fraud upon the court, which no lawyer will hardly file because they're not going to cut off their own pension fund that Mears is paying into.
Right. Okay. Well,
So,
the next question
upon
is.
the court and a Securities Exchange Commission 10b-5 for
Yeah.
failure to disclose that you were part of a contract that requires novation, and by that I mean they trigger events to occur in back time or
Okay.
forward time.
Okay. And all right.
So they'll trigger a controversy so that they can get an order that the judge who's in this scheme will know to say, okay, I'm going to sign this order on this date. Clerk, you stamp it on this date. And, hey, lawyers, in the middle, you put another date. And we'll have an order, one page, to show how we're going to go back on the record and circumvent Barry from putting in his affidavit and requiring us to answer him within a certain amount of days.
Now, you see, I recorded in the court records my declaration of expatriation. It even has the court stamp on it. And I requested that back. It's got their little red ink stamp right on it. And they don't give that away just to anybody. You know what I mean? They won't give it to a copy.
Yeah.
Also, I
People
thought...
shouldn't be worried about people that own those mortgages that because all they did was bought it for pennies on the dollar. What they need to be worried about is the forum they're going in to settle it in.
Okay.
And there's no other forum at this point. There needs to
Right.
be true. If this is a corporation, a private company, then
Okay.
I'd say that they're creating a monopoly, and we need to give them a run for our money. And it's not with,
Okay,
in my
well...
book, it's not with
How
Rash.
about if I say, well, it's that time of year again, it's January, and I have to file my taxes. I need a copy of your W-9 so I can go ahead and fill out my taxes.
Right.
Okay. And
Right,
if
and
they
that's
can't
in
give me...
bankruptcy, that you have to get those W-9s from everybody.
And if they can't
And
give
in
me
the
a W-9,
bankruptcy court-
what happens then?
Well, they'll be knowing you know. I'm not sure what happens then, see, because I don't know. I know the fraud part, and from following their documents on many cases, what I see to where I can speak to it, if they would say, well, how do you know that we put the house under county 140 miles away? And I'll say, well, for one thing, you guys had a letter to the administrative law judge that resides in that county, in another county, and for another thing, the property's 463.A, and I found where I put in the mortgage amount and the lot number, because it was very vaguely named that said mortgage in a said note I executed on this said day was for this said amount. So I go up to that county knowing this judge is involved, and I put into a simple Google search $344,000 and put in the county.
Okay.
It took me right to a sheet or a database in the tax records, the assessor's office. So then I even narrowed it down one more. I put lot 1, and I put the fair market value was $344,000.
Yeah.
It brought up 7,000 properties. Well, then I put in, I put it into the total value at the top, not the fair market value, but what they had assessed it at. So I put in 344,000 as the top bottom line, and 344,000 with a zero tolerance. So it was $344,000. Bam! I got 40 hits, and I saw one name, and I don't know what, but I opened it up, and it was all zeros, all the amount, because it belonged to the city. It belonged to the city of New Richmond in St. Croix County.
Okay.
Now, this was to a house in Columbia County over 132 miles away, but we had a tie-in in the court papers. We saw a judge's name that didn't belong. So we researched that and found out he was a special administrative bankruptcy type guy that did certain things. And we even checked even further, because you got to check your paperwork. This is how they do it. It said a fax cover sheet. It had a place in there for him to sign and return. Well, this judge didn't. They had it marked for him to keep in his records. So they were giving him an internal ex parte secret language cue that, hey, this part up here has been administrated already. We just got it. So it belonged to these people. The city had taken it under the blight program, and they were holding it. And guess what? That property was now known as 2828, but it was formerly known as 463.A, the same property that's down in Columbia County. Not only that, we checked the land records, because that's what everybody needs to do, to go in and actually check the land records, not what's online, but the records. Even if they're saying it's all electronic, I don't care.
Right. That's the only way I can do it. I have to do it in person. I mean, they do things different here in Maine than they do everywhere else. You go in there, you're going to find maybe that your original mortgage in that land record scheme that they have listed under either the name or the addition number, that original mortgage will not even belong to the property, and it will belong to a totally different person that could be a lawyer in this scheme. It will be now, because
a rotating deed.
They sold it. They sold my place.
They sold your place, but it still has this original paperwork in the background.
Right. Okay.
So for every time that somebody gets a loan and they did not put NA in the writer circles, which there's 9 of them, you can just bet your bottom dollar that those 9 writers are operating in this judicial system where there's a mill.
Right.
So you're not just dealing with the home. The reason you're not winning is because they're not going to let anybody knock down their mill, but they're going to have to here pretty soon, because there's some pretty high up, probably the highest in the land now. People that have knowledge of how that works in the hotel business, but they had no knowledge that they had actually sold people's names into captivity in 2004 when Bush did it.
Right, okay.
And Obama's been no better. He's just as bad.
Oh, yeah. Worse.
They're all a bunch of crooks, and they think that they think that Americans are stupid.
Well, have you been to Facebook? The proof is right there, you know.
No, they're not stupid. I have a problem with that, because if they don't, people say, well, you've got to learn this. Okay, well, I guess we do have to learn it, but really, on paper anyway, in their form, they had a duty to disclose, and that disclosure should have took place so somebody could have had an educated opinion on, even if they went into that court knowing this.
Right. See, things are a lot different where I am. You can't search any court cases online at all. Okay, there's nothing available online. But
that's because Maine is the one. Aren't you up in Maine?
Yeah.
Yeah, Maine is the one that does the license, the duplicated license on all the vehicles.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
the Maine one. Maine is that does that. They do something with the hypothetication, copying and recopying of the license and the titles for the vehicles, because a lot of these abandoned houses will have trees fall on the vehicles, and the automobile insurance and warranty they have to have forever. They have monopoly houses everywhere, 9 of them for every house. They got little monopoly boards going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Different languages, mind you.
Yeah, well, you know what? At least in my state, I was able to take my certificate of live birth down to the county courthouse and record it. So I actually got mine recorded. That's something you can't do in Ohio or Connecticut.
Yeah.
With the book and the page and all that, you know.
Yeah.
And I got the copy back.
Do that for people that are, they use foreign birth certificates here in my county. They'll take a foreign birth certificate of someone who may not even be alive anymore, or they'll take old state hospital records or the mentally insane or old trustees, and they'll put their names in the documents, and nobody knows to check unless you're like following the paperwork.
Right.
And then you're like, wait a minute. This here says Annette and Charles Scott own the property, but it's saying that Charles Scott shows up as an attorney, but that's Chuck Hyde. Well, I know him. Well, my gosh, he must be a straw lawyer that comes in and plays as the homeowner on all these properties, and then he files bankruptcies, right? And the judge and nobody gets him in trouble because he works for the municipality and the state attorney general.
Right. Yeah.
And that is what's going on. When you don't see a person in those court papers, you can't tell what they've done. It's probably on paper.
Right.
And you'll see its chronological order's messed up, or they'll make mistakes. Those girls have a time with the paper part doing real time to make it look like real time. They get transposed in their dates.
Right. And you see, my certificate of live birth is actually watermarked. So they had to tear off the verification or apostille, whatever you want to call it. They had to take that off it to actually copy that watermark and all that to authenticate it. And then they sent it back to me after a week. So I've got the original copy of it.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I know that you're supposed to authenticate at Secretary Kerry's office at some point as certified. Now this is what some people say, authenticate, and some people have done it, and I got everything authenticated, but I did that.
I did it with the state of Maine. It was the Secretary of State here. They authenticated it.
Yeah, and then now if you take it up to Kerry, he'll give it a blue ribbon or a red ribbon. It'll be real pretty, but that will be the highest. You'll be the highest. You'll have a highest superior claim to the title, although the superior claim to the title or security is you are the security. Right. They're trying to make you the security when they got you in their courtroom. They're surety.
Right, exactly.
Well, they got surety forms up to bankruptcy. It's on there. Just look at the DOJ. The DOJ bankruptcy form, they tell you what all is, if you're an attorney, what you need to be doing and how you need to be claiming this security and taking everybody's fair faith and credit. And pledging them to another country, so that this government that's not being transparent at all. Well, they are. They're being opaque.
Yeah, but
so if you got a white page, on the internet, then you can just about bet if you copy, you might find hidden text in that white page of theirs, because they got it there and they're like, we told them, we can't help it, they can't see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah.
I got a video for 30 seconds showing them doing that.
But there's a lot of hokey stuff going on. First of all, D.C. is gone, so there's no more formal United States. It's gone bankrupt again, and the post office got sold to somebody.
Right, Trump.
It's crazy.
It's all post office in Pennsylvania, I think, or somewhere. Yeah, the original post office. And that's got artwork commissioned to it, so that means it's always going to be the original post office. Then I heard something about some postal judge guy might have ownership to all of the courts in the whole land, and may not have been telling everybody that he had the justice courts and the postal courts. So that might be a problem for some people. They might be not disclosing that fact to their followers.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't. Yeah, but he doesn't. He didn't take over the Treasury end of it. It's a whole different part.
I don't know that he didn't. I didn't even mention that. I know that in the UN, at the worldwide level, the courts were up for sale, and I know that somebody might have got hold of them way back when, and they might be a postal judge too. I don't know. They might have something to do with the post office. So something's going on there.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on.
And people just need to look that up, whoever any postal judges are, and see if maybe they bought into this thing with the, who knows? I don't know for sure because I just overheard it and I can't even remember where I heard it from. But it's a possibility people need to look into.
You know, the only postal judges I can think of that might be reliable is the one in Hawaii. That would be David Wynn Miller. As far as I know. I don't know. I mean...
Well, him or maybe the other one too, the guy in charge of the post office, the head guy of the post office of the what we think is the legitimate government. I just heard that it was a post office judge, and that post office judge had actually purchased something, and it had to do with all of our courts, and they were actually sitting over all the courts, not just one side of this system.
Right.
And that would make their inner knowledge more transparent as to how they even knew this in the first place. So you can't just choose which ones you want to help and which ones you don't.
So let me ask you, Carol, I've got to ask. If someone's going through this problem with their foreclosure or something like that, or they've had it, like I have, it was, 9 months ago or something like that when they confiscated my property or threw me the hell out or whatever, what would we do? I mean, like in my case.
I told you, but I'll tell you again, you got to go up to the land records office and get everything under your address, your lot number, the tax number, the addition number, maybe even the plat number when they platted it out.
I have
you got to get those documents. And then you got to get all the documents you have and put them in chronological order. And if you got orders from the court with one or more different dates after you get all that in order.
Yeah.
If you got any orders from the court with 2 different dates, make a copy of each additional date, and then when you're doing, you take and write on the front of that that's a copy, so that you know that's not the original order, and you will be able to tell where they took you or how they cut you off in that chronological order, because it involves backdating.
Okay.
And they have to do it on what they call anchor dates. So research every single weird thing you find. If there's even one little dot off on those papers, then that means that's not an original, and they authenticated with the UCC, and they shouldn't have done that because they authenticated upon fraud. It's not fixed yet.
Well, that's the thing. I went and searched the records for it before I wound up out, and the bank didn't have a UCC filed on it. It wasn't there. There was none.
Okay, well, then what you do in that instance is you copy the whole screen to show in a progression that was never filed. And if there's no string, you copy that page to show there is no record at all.
Right.
So in that real time.
Right.
And it may well be that it shows they filed it late, too, so you might want to go get a copy of that. But then you want to get ready to put it together, and you got to write it all out. It's very tedious.
Yeah.
You got to write out what's wrong with their documentation all the way, that if they backdated for flood insurance in your papers, or if they came in and sent you a letter saying you've got to have forced place insurance, we are taking over as servicer, and it appears your insurance, and you've been out of the house forever, but you're getting these late notices in the wherever you get your mail, you're getting late notices that they're still taking over the house. It's a new servicer. Well, that's one of the writers. They just bought it from Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac or somebody like that, behind the scenes in secret agreements that aren't secret anymore, where they say, hey, we're going to sell you this for pennies on the dollar. You go get it from the person, and we are not going to tell that we discharged this debt and got paid for it, okay? And it says that in the agreements I have.
Right. Unreal.
Now, and they all do it under these legislative bills and codes that are meant to protect the lender. Well, you are the lender. You're the one that signed to get the money going in the most part. Now, if you inherited your land, or if you had a survivorship deed, or you had a right to it, then they are violating or they are in non-compliance with the Garn-St. Germain Act. So you could go after him for that too. So it's fraud upon the court, which is a separate motion all by itself. It's a 60B3 mostly, but you can go under 60Bs or even A's or 60A or B. You can go under any part of that 60B. The federal court rule is the same as most of the states, and you can go and check the federal rule 60B versus the state rule, and you can use whichever one best suits you. Because all courts are federal. They don't want you to know that. They're all federal through the bankruptcy. The bankruptcy is federal.
Right,
and they're pulling this thing up. They're creating a quota list at the bottom for the title companies. They're in cahoots with the local municipalities. So they're pulling this thing up through their orders that they place with the title company to get 9 assignments on the back of every new signer. And the signer or signator is the creditor. And we don't know our right roles in this bankruptcy. Now, that's all I know. I don't know exactly what to do, but I think there's a B-10 form, but it has to be done right. And the only person I know is David Johnson, who does know how to do that.
Okay.
Right. Carol, real quick, there is a question in the chat room, whether or not you can successfully answer this. Can I run it by you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody has, Frankie mentioned, can I get my ex-wife off of a deed with just a separation agreement she has signed without a quick claim? He says separation agreement said once divorce is final, she will no longer have rights to the property.
Well, he could maybe put that order into the county and move to have that title quieted, and then just put that forth to where she'd have to come in, and or else they'd invalidate that somehow with a court action. But I don't know for sure, to be honest with you.
Well, there's a separation agreement. So
house is in North Carolina, so but whatever.
Yeah, there was a separation agreement that said
that would be, like I said, he needs to check and see. For one thing, if he did anything, him and her after 2000, it's all based on fraud because they frauded him and her both. So, but if he's wanting to quiet the deed or make sure his deed's superior, then he needs to do a quiet title action. And if she'll agree with it, then there should be no problem. And if she won't, then there'll be a problem because then he'll have to go in there and dicker around with her. But with that agreement, he ought to be able to get something done in the way of a quiet title, and that would involve whichever way he wanted to go.
Oh, it gets
he could
better.
Go and just,
he just now typed in she's no longer in the country, she's in the UK.
Well, then he can put that too in an affidavit or an affirmation in the nature of an affidavit of fact. So he would affirm that he was a live man. I don't even want to tell anybody what to say, whatever. But anyway, that's what I did. Live woman. Call me Carol. I'm of the age of majority. I'm a non-resident. What else? I'm of sound mind. And then I also comply with their trial rules at the end. I think it's 11B and another one, maybe 26 something at the end. And at the very end. And I put in what I want in the middle. And I just do an affidavit. Now, and that's what I put it right into the court case. Some people will file it in the county or in a federal court and under miscellaneous. But I think that the federal courts are on to that, and some of them aren't letting people. Right. So then he could go in and do, however it says, there ought to be some self-help on how to file quiet title in that state. So then he would do that. And it might cost him, if he hired an attorney, it probably cost a couple $1,000, and you'd get them involved, and they'd be using your name.
Yeah.
What he could do is just do his own, like a do-it-yourself type kit, or get on that what's it called? It's a software site where you juris something. Jurisdictionary or something.
Oh.
It'll tell you how to do a quiet title, and then you just quiet the title, and if there's not going to be any opposition to her, he'll probably have to file 3 notices in the paper, and then they would quiet the title and put it all over to him to knock her out.
Right.
On that deed.
See.
So actually, that's like a positive contract, because if you need rebuttal, right?
Well, yeah, but that's how they do it. That's how the lawyers probably do it on everybody, because they've got an international birth certificate, Mills, so they probably are doing the same exact thing I just said. That's how they do it.
Right.
They always got an out in their system they created. Right. Now, I heard this. This was last month from a lady friend of mine who I sent the video to you, Paul, with the old lady that they had taken in. She wasn't old. She's 2 years older than I am, 57. They took her into a guardianship while she was at work as a nurse at a jail. They served guardianship papers on her, and within 9 months, they had taken away her license, her car. She lost her jobs, and she was in a bedbug-infested nursing home that they finally rescued her from, but they put her in a Laquita Inn in Florida. Well, her and I talked. I did a show with Robin and Lulu, and it was so... that show right there, I really was real good that night. I think I had... I mean, it was... I gave it up on what I knew about... what I knew from following the paperwork, what I actually... when it got clear up into outer space, and I stopped there.
Right.
On what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're doing all kinds of stuff with these sewage and trash liens, folks. They got a mill like no other in the trash business, because they got us in a sludge fund, in a sludge tank, actually.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick. It's like video games all over. It's almost like we think we're sitting out here, but these other 9 personalities are avatars in video games.
Right.
And I think I told that Ken Dost once. He used it later in some of his broadcasts, but I'm pretty sure that I talked to him that it's like a virtual reality game where they've insured the avatars.
Right. See, I've got a 33-year history on that property that I had. Okay.
So they like that 33.
Well, yeah. See, what happened was that there was one guy who bought the section. It was a 5-acre piece, I believe. He broke it up into 4 pieces. We got a piece of it back in 1984. Okay.
Did you buy it or did you inherit it?
Oh, my father bought it. My parents bought it. And then it was back in 05, we did a quitclaim and put it in my mother's name and my name. And that was when I took out that second loan on it, the next loan. And we were 10 years into it when I got the boot.
Well, I don't think that you took out a second loan. I think if you look
well,
at your
it was
loan
the first. It was the first, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't even think you did a first. I don't think you should. What you did was sign for them to get some money.
Right. Yeah.
So you were the creditor. You didn't take out a loan. You were actually a maker.
Right, because I'd owned the property to begin with.
So you made the drawer. The maker of the drawers gives their signature, so they're the creditor. And I didn't know that when my daughter did all this. I'm like, she is not the maker, blah, 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 because I didn't know.
Yeah.
She is the maker.
Yeah.
And they perfected a promissory note behind the scenes, but you can still go in, and when you find the what I'm talking about, you might want to look at the note that's in court that they presented or anywhere.
I have a copy.
And you'll see the notes off on the address. It'll have the zip code wrong or the city or the spelling of the street.
Okay.
They'll say, oh, that doesn't matter in the mortgage. Well, it matters in the note.
Right.
And they're making these mortgages tie to notes that are actually part of a system called Mir's Original Mortgage, the mom mortgages.
Right.
They make the mortgages out here.
And see, there was
concurrently with a bunch of notes that are in the circuit court, and the circuit court just takes these 9 different notes that are ever so slightly changed.
Right.
So let's say you have a house that's in Richmond, Indiana. You're going to find out that they got a zip code for Indianapolis or a city that might be 80 miles away, or an actual meets and bounds description with a comma or a period missing.
Right.
It's not going to be exact as to the survey map. So that's where they hijacked it at.
Okay,
and that involves people in the recorder's office that have to be involved in this, because they would be, and that's part of the correction that's taking place under bankruptcies, major bankruptcies, big ones.
See, I did a
they allow them to go in and correct records.
I did a QWR, qualified written, you know what I mean, request. And I asked them for the QSIP number, and I also asked for details on the security, and they told me they didn't have any of them. They didn't have either one. They don't.
The court does. The court assigns the QSIP numbers, I think, from what I've seen.
Okay.
And I really can't go into it, but it appears to me that the court is under the bankruptcy, when you pay, or under the bankruptcy, or under the foreclosure rules, where that makes the county courts, it actually makes them federal under the bankruptcy, because that National Mortgage Settlement Act and the blight programs, it's all tied together. That Settlement Act they brought into place to make it even be able, it's a mechanism to make the judicial machinery run smoother on this mill that they have.
Right. Well,
but they screwed up because the cocoa bonds they sold were worthless, and it got found out. So Germany took a hit. It caused Brexit in part, or helped Brexit along, and you know everything they do for a reason.
Right.
That's because they're doing that international redemptions right now, and we are being redeemed or put in place of people that they're probably executing on this back system. They make me sick.
Yeah, and
they want to play games like Melania Trump mirrors Michelle Obama's speech. Well, when somebody looks at that Melania Trump video on YouTube, just after one or two times, whenever that comes up again, the first picture you're going to see on that supposed she plagiarized Michelle, but Michelle plagiarized somebody. Nobody brought that up.
Right.
So they've got Melania Trump's speech, YouTube. You open it up, and whose face do you see? Well, Hillary Clinton's. Give me a break.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
Who thought that system up? It's a mirroring. It's called mirrors, and they said that mirrors was reflected in our court.
Right.
Well, it is.
Yeah. And
they're running the fraud through the circuit courts like Haltman and R.K. Arnold said. They testified. We don't know where the moms are kept. Get it, moms, mirrors original mortgage, but maybe mom, like biological mother's side of the estate is how they take the estate. They're playing dad, the parent, the dad here.
Right.
They take all of that over for the men and the women, and they've overstepped their bounds.
Well, yeah. And I mean, even the QWR.
I am so not playing with them. They better leave me and mine alone from now. No more harm better not come to any of us.
Right. Well, even
they are so not going to continue with this. It's bad. They get caught every step of the way here. See.
Yeah, you know, even in my QWR, it wasn't answered by the bank; it was answered by their attorneys. There's no real knowledge there. It's all hearsay.
Ties into the school system and everything. The school system, they've got a pool, a dead pool, is what they got of children's names and everything that they're tying into the juvenile cases in your states, and guaranteed, if somebody could see what they were actually reporting, and I need to look that up, what they were actually stating in their grant applications at the highest level for money at the state, they would see an inflated number that would be at least probably 9 or 90 times more or 900 times more than what they're stating to us down here.
Right.
And that's all the way around. Even when you get charged, if anybody would get charged right now over the age of 18, and they have 4 charges and they drop 2, well, where do they drop them to? Oh, to the juvenile prisoner, to little Charlie Manson, alone in a jail in Indiana. Poor Charlie. Oh, let's go down to to Florida, where Charlie's old lady Squeak's being kept. She's being kept down in Florida. So out of all the whole United States, the only 2 states that have mandatory cards that the commissaries buy are Indiana and Florida. The only federal one is McCain State, and in that federal prison there, they had a special playing deck of cards too. That tied to the 911 victims cards, and it ties to the war game cards, where they put Saddam Hussein, I think it was him, in jail, and he didn't have a number. He was the ace of spades. And here we got our country, Bush and Cheney bringing in online gambling in 2001, I believe. Then we got Obama and Holder making it outlawed, and all kinds of young people killing themselves in the UK and here. Well, now the UK's got it back. We've been taken out of this card game.
That's the Illuminati card game, right?
I don't know. It's that game I'm telling you about. I got the cards. If anybody wants it, they can email me at CALISAAC1961@gmail.com and just repeat it at this time. What time is it, Paul?
It is 12:44, 1:45. We're coming up to a break in about 5 minutes.
Time. Yeah, so because I'm not going to keep writing all this stuff out. I don't type, folks. My fingers hurt. I have a scleroderma, and it hurts me real bad to type.
No, you don't need to type anything. That's okay.
Can you tell me more about this? I'm thinking, hell no, I can't. I'm not going to type you a damn book. Go listen to the recording where I told it the first time. If you don't want to listen, and I'm going to be like this now.
Yeah.
Seriously, I have to be, because people are wearing me out.
Well,
with this stuff of, can you tell me more? And
right.
and most people, they'll go on and they'll figure it out and they'll get back with me and say, Carol, you were right, I found this. And I'm like, good. But some people want you to hold their hand. I'm not doing that. I don't get paid.
Right.
And I don't want to get paid either.
Right.
I'm not looking to get paid.
Right.
I just want people to look for themselves. They need to know their own facts, because each of your facts, you're going to find out more than I have.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there.
Right. Yeah.
Common sense stuff.
Yeah.
If they got...
Yeah, it's called self-education. Good heavens, research it. Just.
If they want to look at their insurance policies, and most people have them, they stay the same too. If they didn't let their insurance lapse at all, if they'll look at that policy, they'll see that it's the day before their actual closing that it became effective.
Right.
Right there tells you that they had you as the owner of the property ahead of time, and the insurance company you hired is in on it.
Yeah, and the title insurance company the same way.
Yeah, why? Yeah, they're the main ones that do the mill. They're allowed under safe harbors, and they don't want anybody to know that they're doing it with the municipality and the judges and certain lawyers that play a key role in this. There's other lawyers, though. There's some. Let me tell you this. There's this lawyer out in California.
Yeah.
And he found out about this, what's going on with people and children, and he might have known at the Securities Exchange level. Securities Exchange Commission level, he may have known that these securities might belong to a group of people or members of an LLC, but when he saw the actual fact that this woman had gotten taken into court and all this had happened to her, that lady that was, the guardianship was taken over, so her and I worked together for 3 days, and I said, this is what I think you need to do. And the part that she did every single thing I told her to do. As soon as her guardian started talking, she said something like this. It's on there. I sent it to you, Barry. She said, I am Karen Federighi. I want to know who here holds superior title to the securities. You're treating me as property, isn't that correct? And she went on to, and then she went into her affirmation or affidavit. She called it an affidavit. That's fine. She got it on the record. She said, I'm a whistleblower. And I'm entitled to whistleblower protection because, see, that's one of their priorities. If you complain about the system, they automatically start retaliating against you as a whistleblower unless you invoke the Whistleblower Protection Act.
Right.
Well, within a few days, she was taken away from that state while under guardianship, I think, or she went away, or she's in the state, I don't know. Anyway, she's not there. Some attorney from a big-wig law firm out in California heard about this, saw it, and said, well, by God, this is slavery. Yeah. And he didn't even know, because he'd been pushing papers so long, how bad it had gotten. And my understanding is there was a conference going on with a bunch of them, and he said, look, we caused this in part. This can't continue. It's this bad. We got a nurse here from a jail who told on the guards for being inappropriate completely with the male prisoners. And she gets retaliated against in this fashion. Right. This has to stop. This is slavery. Well, It's gotten that with children and everything. Why? Because we're under Sharia-compliant contracts, and it's under the ISDA, International Swap Derivative Association, 2004 Master Agreement, Sharia, and put it into Google, put in ISDA 2004 Master Agreement, Sharia, SHARIA at least. You could put H. The contract will come up. That's in New York, and all contracts must be Sharia compliant if they want to trade with the Arabs.
Right. And that's why they're coming over here in droves.
Well, they come here because we're the melting pot. I don't know about that. They need to regulate better, and if people don't want to be in Sharia, first of all, tell them they're in it.
Right.
And if people don't want to be, then they don't have to be.
You know,
they want to come in and talk about religious freedom. Okay, everybody's got it then, by God.
Well, yeah, but I mean, and you talk about being a citizen of the United States. You have more benefits not being a citizen than you do if you are. If you are a citizen, you're screwed.
You just think you're a citizen. None of you are. You're in the Army now.
That's right.
You're in the
yeah.
I'm in the Army now. I'm in the Army. Let's sing it, guys. I'm in the Army now.
Yeah,
I'm not behind a plow. I'm digging a ditch, you son of a bitch. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I got my
I'll never get rich. Don't forget that part. I'll never get rich.
I got my veterans ID, my veterans health card. You know, so yeah.
All the children, I've got it. All the children in all of our schools have been listed in the military. And, you know, Lady Fairfax, a friend of mine, she said, I think that the truancy proves that they've got them under military. She told me that years ago.
Yeah, but if they bring you into the ID, into the military, that means you are at the age of majority.
Well, the children are under military, and I got that thing from my grandson in the public school system anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, usually if you get an ID.
It has it on their enrollment forms, and the truancy part proves it. You can only be truant if you're under military.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, if you got a military ID card, it means that you are the age of majority, or you're somehow a dependent.
Right.
And
you got a paycheck, too. You're a special government employee. Just like when Hillary released her email, and they found out about it. And Hillary's never been in trouble since 1993 because the litigious bitch has patented litigation and email investigations so that she can draw us all in as individuals and we can all be prosecuted instead of her. And Congress was in on it.
Phew. Unreal.
And I can prove it by their own testimony. These guys are something.
Oh, well,
Now, I'm telling you. They are doing it on purpose. It's scripted, and Congress is the grand jury.
Right, I see. Unbelievable.
They screw up. They've said it. I do clips on them because somebody has to do. I've been off track on it, though. I stayed up yesterday, my 70th hour, doing some things. But that's how I found out about. I don't even know about. I don't want to know about this law, but I've got a couple of friends I'm trying to help. And, of course, my daughter, I never wanted to know all this, and I don't feel like studying all the time, but I do it, and I know how people feel. I get calls like where people are going off on me because they said, do I have to answer this? And they start yelling and getting upset, and I'm like, first of all, you better get unemotional here, because if you don't, I'm not the person for the bedside manner. This emotion stuff and falling faint and going, oh, I'm losing this and losing that, well, you already did lose it. People and I do feel bad. I know what it's like to lose custody of your children. In the 80s, we had joint custody. I got awarded full custody. Then I felt bad because Frank said, don't make me a part-time dad, so I signed joint custody. Well, then he got with this chick that started doing some stuff to the kids, and I tried to work it out for about 8 months, and finally I went to change the joint custody. Well, they took custody of me, and they put those kids in that home until she tied them up and beat them for 2 hours.
Wow.
Beat them about half to death, my kids, and I had to take them and run and be a kidnapper. They had me under kidnapping for a minute, and actually one of the police guys came up, an officer came to my door, Timmy Tyler, and he said, Carol, I got this, they got to charge kidnapping. I'm to take the children. And I said, come here, Shannon. And Shannon told him what happened. And he goes, I never saw you. You need to get your kids and get somewhere besides here.
Yeah.
So we got it all straightened out, and I got the children back. Now, that's property.
Right,
and if I would have known what I was doing back then, I just knew that I wasn't going to let it happen. And the children are all grown now, and everything's okay.
Right.
But at that time, everybody thought it's been going on forever is what I'm saying.
Right.
They switched evidence in my case. I went back to look at my case, and I was made out to be a monster, and those evidence files weren't what was it. They're for somebody else.
Yeah.
They got a different name in there.
Huh?
Yeah, there's a girl that I got a film of her child being taken off her tit at 11 hours. They decided at 6 months gestation they were going to take that child. The girl that keeps getting complaints from CPS, well, when she finally got her file, it appears that her mother, who had been dead for 4 years, was still making complaints against her.
Really?
Yeah, these are rotten people. These are child traffickers, and they're using the courts, the legislators.
Yeah.
They have these certain bills for certain benefits, for like to protect the lenders or the government and safe harbors.
Yeah.
And they know what they're doing, and they're the real culprits of this because they're committing legislative fraud. So when somebody comes into court and calls a legislative bill, you need to notice you need to have a verbal or an audio video of your hearing so that you can go back and check the paperwork to make sure that the clerk didn't do this. They might call out 104, Bill 104, or HR 104-2.
Yeah.
And it'll come out on paper where the clerk knows about it as 104.2. which means, let's say, for example, 104-2 means a bill to protect the house if it's abandoned. But 104.2 means a bill to protect the house and the child that was abandoned.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
They come in and say you violated this trial rule. There's not very many of them either they use. Then they'll bring in that legislative code, and that's how they do it. And that's terrible, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
They're busted.
Unreal.
It's all on paper. It's under one of my films called Retaliation. I show where the judge is talking about that. So in the description of my videos, those recordings, I put in there that they said she broke Trial Rule 37A, and that if they went under this bill, it wouldn't be considered retaliation. So that tells you right there they're all in cahoots, and they're all in on it. Because the judge said, we are retaliating.
Right.
She goes, no, Your Honor, not if we use this bill. Well, the bill that she stated on the record had dashes. The bill that the clerk put in there had dots and a question mark. Like she didn't hear it right. Give me a break.
Now, what's the name on your YouTube channel?
It's under Carol Keihn, Carolkeihn, and it's the YouTube playlist is Public Official and Judicial Corruption.
Okay.
And there's about 50 tapes in there, and I add to it all the time. I do have some other playlists, but really everything's in there on the corruption. The other playlists are things about music, because I'm interested in the subliminal slides and the music, the beats that they use in music, where they synthesize or create simulated beats by making the vinyl on the record deeper. A simulated groove is what it would be called.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm into that music kind of stuff too, and then into the political, religious. I didn't want to, but it's definitely involved. God, I think they've got it's not spelled G-O-D. I think it's G0D.
Oh yeah. Unreal.
I think, yeah.
Well, one thing leads to another.
I think they're doing something with pi and the circle.
Yeah.
So the zero would be ideal for that when they're calibrating and zeroing out on the system they've got.
I tell you what, why don't we go ahead and take our first bladder break here? What do you think?
I'll take a coffee break. Women, go to the restroom, Barry.
Oh, I am. Forgive me.
Sounds like a weeder.
Forgive me. I have committed the cardinal sin. All right.
Okay.
You're listening to Show Us, Don't Tell Us on the L&M Radio Network. We shall return.
There are days that the red pill is bitter in my stomach, but I can't get it back out. I think because I have to. I speak because I have no choice. I walk through this dark age we're in with open eyes. Listen to Open Eyes on LateNightInTheMidlands.com. And together, maybe we won't stumble and fall.
The L&M Radio Network offers a chat room for you, the listener, to connect with others whom are interested in the topics and guests that the L&M Radio Network brings to you. During the live shows, the hosts will even visit the chat room and chat with you, the listener. Click on the big red Chat and Listen button at the top of the website and join us. No subscription is needed at either lnmradionetwork.com or latenightinthemidlands.com.
Why subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show, come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guests reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, We need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
There is a better radio show, beyond that which is known to the people. It is a radio show more informative than others, and as timeless as infinity. It is the equilibrium between light and dark, between the sheeple and the paranormal, and it is heard at the base of man's ignorance and at the summit of his knowledge. This is the radio show of imagination, a show we call The Secret Teachings.
Welcome back to Show Us Don't Tell Us. I am Papa Bear, and we're on the L&M Radio Network. We've got, of course, Skills, and we've got Carol Keihn with us. And my goodness, Carol Keihn, she just blows me away. If I knew a tenth of what she knew, I'd be in seventh heaven. I would have had my home back. I would have never left, actually.
No,
anyway.
You wouldn't have, because Rachel, my daughter, left her home. Now, we haven't lost yet, but hopefully they sold it, because really people need to not get too upset. If you can find this out later, you can get them for fraud upon the court. It's treble damages right off the bat. And in order to be damaged, they usually have to sell the property.
Right.
That's one of the little tricks there. And what they do behind the scenes, if you don't do this fraud upon the court, this is what they said in the case. I need to find that case, too, and I will.
Okay.
They said, what do we care if the homeowner doesn't know about the fraud upon 60B motions that they could be filing? That doesn't stop us from correcting our bracket T, capital ERROR, bracket S. But that's errors, isn't it, folks, with the TS? Terror.
Yeah.
The war on terror. Terror. Oh, Bush's terror.
Yeah. Terror.
They're the ones that did it.
Well, yeah. Unbelievable. They're the biggest terrorists, and they say, oh, we've got a war on terror. You know, it's like...
language fraud.
Well, okay. I'll go along with that.
Legislative fraud, too.
I mean, I'm in no mood to argue with you tonight.
Well, I only know because I followed it.
Man. Papa's saying you got a green light, you're good to go.
Yeah. If you came here looking for an argument, you came to the wrong place.
Just followed the paperwork because I'm not just stating these things because I have a theory. The reason I know these things is because I followed the paperwork and I tried to go to my best source of evidence, which is congressional testimony.
Right.
So if I've done the work and I can say I can prove it, usually when I talk about this, some of the stuff I might be guessing on and I'll tell somebody. But on this, I know that's what they're doing because I've been following them.
Right.
And once you listen to them, there's a thing in there I have that says that one of the black congressmen said, well, she's fishing. This is a fishing expedition. That's his way of saying, hey, folks, we did fishing on your emails. And that's Hillary's email. She leaked it. And if any of you wrote us or complained or said anything to us in an email, we now have captured you. And Trey Gowdy's up there telling people to write in and complain about this.
Yeah. Guccifer is one that
That's
got her
how
first,
I know
right?
that they're all in on it.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's their disclosure. Hey, folks, and the other congressman says at the email investigation, Congress exempted ourselves, and for good reason, but I'm worried about the members of the public who might be writing in or protesting, which is basically telling you not to write in or protest because you won't be exempted from the prosecution of this.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So you can't be a belligerent, right? You don't want to be combative.
Well, you're all what are they called? You're all under not the president. Yeah, you're all under the prisoner of war type deal. And Gonzalez said it. Some people are lawful combatants and some are not. Basically, is what he said.
The Trading with the Enemy Act, right?
Well, it's when Gonzalez said under 911. Gonzalez came out and said that either you're lawful combatants or you're illegal or not lawful combatants. But he said it, and I have the clip recorded. I re-record over the top of their stuff because they're doing that Bernstein thing where they're doing the what is it?
Yeah,
type.
The Mandela effect.
Yeah. They're doing that, and it's just language fraud. They've been doing it on Google for a long time, especially the land page on your searches.
Yeah.
It'll show if you put in a certain codes you find that you think are off. Like it looks like Egyptian symbols. A lot of the documents are showing now they've done something where their software they'll say is not compliant at the congressional level. So the E will look backwards, and it'll be real curved. It'll look like Egyptian writing. So you can copy that and put it into Google, and it'll bring up all their little secret places that they might go. You might have a code in your document, your mortgage, that says they're going to go by 12 USC, but when you take the code that they've got off, it'll show like a 12 USC E S, some kind of weird symbol. If you see any of that and you copy it, it'll take you to maybe United States Code Title II, which is their defense, because they have a mirrored system in here that they're communicating with, and it's out in the open, so then in their mind, they've told everybody. They're just, it's not our fault that they can't figure it out.
Yeah, okay.
The gurus who say, you don't understand how this works, well, I want to know who does completely understand, because we want to cash in our Willy Wonka tickets at the Treasury window. Tell us what form that is we need to fill out to where we can turn this thing around and make it right.
No, exactly. I mean, I've gotten to the point where I've applied for disability, and I got to get out of it. I got to get out of this, or I have to follow through, one or the other. I got to go there and tell them, I'm a nutcase.
5 years old. I'll be damned if I'm going to be up on a hill living with no running water or electricity because I don't want to participate in the utility system. That ain't going to happen. I think you ought to be able to walk the left and the right side of the line at the same time if you want to. And if somebody comes after me privately or publicly, then I'm going to defend myself because that's how I'm built.
Right. See, I've got a hearing coming up. I'm not sure when. I'm just waiting for the next date. But when I go in there, it's like I'm not holding back anymore. I'm going to spill my guts. It's like I have a problem functioning in society.
That's on their evidence. You use their documentation or whatever you have of their records. That's what I do, is go for the best evidence. So you examine your briefs too, how they're written. Look for comma usage, because when they put let's say they put J.P. Morgan, N.A., well, that's two entities, and they'll put a comma after that, which means they're going to add more later in the bigger scheme of things. But that N.A. is any national association. Who the hell knows? And non-A is also means non-applicable.
That's right.
It means not apparent. Anyway, it means a lot of different things, the NA does, because they're using acronyms, synonyms, and anagrams in their secret communication. Mm-hmm. In the court documents, in the briefs, they are using Braille connotations without the raising of the Braille for the blind people, but they are blind. Lady Justice is blind. They're also inserting footnotes that actually contain tunes from, let's say, Yankee Doodle Dandy. Now, that's in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court clerk's blog on the Pennsylvania State Court website. So those things are just some tidbits if people want to check them out. And Google, even if people say, oh, Google follows you everywhere you're followed, it's under ICANN now. It's international. We don't have any more privacy. So go to Google and you can put in at least 36 words on what you want to know. And if anybody's ever written about it or done anything about it, it will bring up that, and you will maybe find a good source like a professor or a psychologist. The psychologists are the main ringleaders. They want us all under their mental health program, don't you know?
Well, of course, yeah. Of course they do. That's what it's all about, you know.
I sound like an old battle axe tonight, don't I? I'm raising hell.
No.
Oh, good
Yeah,
heavens,
but
you're doing just fine, I tell you.
you're at your best when you're raising hell. Keep it up.
I don't know
Keep it
about
going.
that.
I mean,
I would rather be pissed off than pissed on.
Don't let us
There you
hold you
go.
back. You're doing just swell.
yeah. Now, I mean, since D.C. is gone, is the United States also gone? You know? I mean, because
no, maybe we need to be going by D.C. law.
Well, that's
their law.
Yeah, but is that still applicable? That's the question.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
Aren't they going by Maryland law now?
I don't know that they are. They're probably using Maryland as a special pass-through of some kind with the DOJ. You can look there to see what's special about Maryland with the DOJ if you want to. Because it's either Maryland or Massachusetts that has a special category all to itself with the DOJ. And there's another one, too, of the way they run up the bankruptcy fraud anyway and the antitrust cases.
Yeah.
So they are special states that have special powers. Pennsylvania is one of them. So
well, yeah, that's what the
I think, though,
the big court is.
Now listen, though. I think that Washington, D.C., from what I'm seeing in the old books, it has always been that 10-mile square that we're out here dealing with. And
Right.
what they did was they changed their footprint when they went into Virginia. And it didn't change anything. So the D.C. law would be very important in how they're operating now.
Right,
Even the old, because the United States was never in the old books, and I got screenshots of it on my Facebook page under Carol Keihn, Keihn. They have never, ever had any codes or laws or statutes. The U.S. didn't. The only place it did was Washington, D.C.
That's right. Exactly, because
Well, that's what the book says.
Well, yeah, that's what the Organic Act created, was the United States, which is actually Washington, D.C., and that's where that was located. See, and I consider that the Vatican's little piece of land here in the United States, or here in America. Let's put it that way. You know what I'm saying?
You mean the Americas?
Well, yeah, in the Americas. Yeah, that's their
why are
little. That's
we
their little
called
piece.
South America? Why are we called North America? Are we called North America?
Well, we were supposed to be called the United States, or actually the United States of America is what it is.
Okay.
It's not the United States, or not United States. Okay, like London is not a part of Britain. Okay, that's the Vatican's little spot in Britain. Okay, so they've got their own little spot. They've got the one in, their main outlet, and then two
Why
more.
Are we called
and
Central America is what I'm asking you. Central Americans versus North America, because North America would be Canada or the UK, right? Or is it Canada that's up there?
Everything from Panama up. Okay.
Well, everything from Panama down too, because there's North
That'd be
America,
South America,
Central America, and South, but we're getting called Central.
Well, we're being called the United States of.
Well, we're being called Central though in the continental version of things.
Are we?
Yeah.
Because Central
America, I'm pretty sure.
Central America,
Well,
you're looking at Mexico, Panama.
Okay.
So
we should be called Central, but somebody else is what I'm saying.
Right.
Because if you look at the continent, they're leaving some countries out, but those continental borders are not applicable, and that's what the problem is with immigration.
Yeah, but a state is a country. I mean, Germany is a state. Britain's a state.
Right.
So that's why we have our individual states.
It's a state, nation, or nation state, right?
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Okay. What's the difference?
And that's why,
between the two? Why do you reverse the roles with India?
Well, like Maine, where I am, okay, it would be Maine State. Maine State is a country in itself. Okay, it's a nation state, as opposed to the state of Maine, which is the commercial entity. the business entity.
So in India, they're doing state-nation versus nation-state.
Right. And then now you've got, like I was going to say with the courts, okay? You've got a court, you search Dun & Bradstreet, you'll find a DUNS number, but you go to the corporate listings and you won't find them listed as a business in the state of Maine. All right? So, you know, they're for-profit on Dun & Bradstreet, but they're not even existent in the state itself. You see, that's why asking for a W-9 is like, you know, sitting on top of a mop bucket and pushing the handle.
Just don't ask for it. Tell them you require it for tax purposes.
Well, I do.
For your defense. You
right, exactly.
Who
now,
is working on the case.
Also, right near the same parking lot, there's also this place called the Criminal Investigation Division. I wonder if I should stop in there.
I don't know, because I wouldn't stop in anywhere. I'd send it through the post office.
Really?
Well, if I was going to do that, I wouldn't be stopping in places. I'll send written communication so that you have a record of it.
Right. Or email.
Another thing people do, they try to get, I did an email. It counts. I'm like, okay, tell me the court case where it says that counts. And that's good if they can do that, because I want to see it. I don't want to hear, well, that counts. It's better to send it where you have a record of it, and it requires a signature. If you can send it registered, some mail you should send registered, and then sometimes you can get by with certified too. If that, you always have to have a record. So I guess an email would be good.
Well, the email is an electronic record, and it's right in your, right on your hard drive or through your email, and it's also in there.
Well, the email's fine, but I'm saying mail it too.
Another way is
that's
fax.
What I did anyway. So they can do whatever they want, but it's better proof, I think, in this. Because they're pretending like they're behind on technology. So
right. I like fax.
The email,
too.
There's an email verification program, but I don't have their law on that, or their code, or whatever it is.
Okay. What about fax?
I'm not up to speed like some of these guys are on what's really going on either, folks. I'm more out in the public because I just found out about this in 2012. People will try to get with me to find out how to file tax forms, things like that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to fix this either. So that's what I was telling you. David would know more about that, and Renee.
Right.
I'm not the girl to go to, or the woman to go to with the remedy.
Yeah.
I'm the one that knows about the fraud and proving it on there. So you just analyze their documents, make it like a big puzzle.
Right. It's too bad we couldn't get David tonight. We tried, but it didn't quite work out.
Hopefully, he might not be feeling well.
That could be.
If there's a 765 number in there, it might be him.
That's all right. Maybe we can give him we'll try him again next week or something like that. We've got a week to work on him, to work him over.
What I was going to say is send out a certified copy and the same duplicate to yourself and leave it sealed. All right. Anyways, anybody currently listening?
The contents have to be guaranteed. Go ahead.
Anybody currently listening, the number currently is 216-772-1330. That is 216-772-1330. There you have it. All right.
Yeah. Anyway. I thought that a fax would be okay because you've got that electronic record from the fax machine as well.
Sometimes a fax they won't let you, like in federal bankruptcy court, you're not allowed to do faxes, so I don't know. You'd have to check, and they see this is a problem. They're updating everything so fast and changing everything that the rule that you think you have, they're actually going by another rule in the coding system where they've actually made Rule 12 became Rule 18 for these purposes only, which you're not privy to. That's a problem, too.
Right.
So they give us a Rule 12, and the former Rule 12 now becomes part of Rule 18 that's only allowed to be practiced by practitioners before the bankruptcy court. Stuff like that they're doing.
Yeah.
Makes it impossible. Not impossible. It makes it hard to know what to do. So I just do what I just talk like I talk. I'm not going to get into all their legal jargon if I can help it, but I can see what they're doing. They're telling you what they're doing. And they're not doing anybody any big favors in my book. I don't care if somebody says they told you what they're doing. It's up to us to do this or that. I think it's up to somebody if they want to deal with that system. But if they can show that that system's not going to help them at all, then they shouldn't have to participate in it at all. And if they don't show up, or if they put in that they don't want a contract, that should be taken by them as they're on to us, and we can't take them in their body and issue a warrant on them, and that's what they're doing when the people don't show up.
Right.
So we just need to leave them be, but they won't even do that. So it makes it impossible not to participate because they're going to put a warrant out on you.
Yeah, exactly. Either way, they get
And
you
then
coming
people
and going.
say, well, if you do it right and if you learn what you need to learn, and it's like, you know what, I don't got time for this shit, okay? I'm supposed to be in court next week.
Right. No, I
can't possibly learn that. And are you going to be there with me to make sure I don't get put in a pokey?
Yeah, exactly. I know what you're saying. I was going to take calls on Skype, but I don't know how Skype is working. I know most times if it tries to call in, you can't take the call. It shuts everybody else off. So Skype is pretty funky. So I don't know. If I can get a call in, I can take a call. But other than that, I don't know.
Don't worry about it. Maybe nobody's calling in. I don't care. I'm just talking to you guys.
No, I understand that. Yeah. Anyway, but as far as calls go, if I can take it, I'll pull it in. But if I can't, then I'll let you know on the show here in voice. Anyway, call-in number is 216-772-1330. It's 216-772-1330. The shows don't tell us. Goodness, we're almost halfway through the show here. And it's been a long day. It's been a very long day.
Well,
so what were you telling me about that you knew about? See, there's things that you had been looking into, too, that you know about, right?
Well, I was... Yeah, see, I move around. I do research. You know how I am. I check out different things. And I saw some things that were done by Winston Shrout. You familiar with Winston?
I've seen videos on him.
Okay, well...
recordings on him, I'm familiar a little bit. He has a lot of knowledge about the system. I'm not real familiar with his... whatever he's had, had people doing, but he did spend time in prison, didn't he?
No, he didn't. As a matter of fact, there was him and 6 other people arrested for what they call negotiable instruments fraud. Okay, it was about $11 trillion in instruments. Well, those other 6 people wound up in jail, but he's not. He's out. He's protected. But he's got some inside information about. He's got information about terrestrial life. He's also the guy that led me to research this book called Invisible Contracts. Okay, it's by a man named...
he's got a lot of knowledge, but like
George
here,
Mercer.
if somebody gets out of trouble and everybody else gets into trouble, that means they turned over or they're doing something for them in return. That's my only worry. So when I put that out there, because I did put Winston Shrout's recording out there, I told him that I don't know about the process he does, because I don't want people... They'll follow something and do it and think they won't get in trouble, and they'll be ending up in jail.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's a red flag. Yeah,
well, all he does is he just denies contract. He says, "I'm not contracting with you," and that's basically
probably right.
it.
And he is smart on the other stuff. So I don't know him personally, but I do know people that have talked to him, and I've listened to him.
Yeah.
But I do know that I don't want to be one of those 5 people.
Right. Yeah. Well, he did. Basically, he got an education on negotiable instruments. So he knew quite a bit about it. He knew enough about it to where he felt he could go ahead and move with it. And that's how they wound up with this $11 trillion in negotiable instruments that they were taking him on. But when he denied the contracting with them, and they couldn't force him to contract, that they had to let him go. But he was talking also about terrestrial life. And basically the whole thing was supposed to come down, the biblical end of it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm curious, what happened to the other individuals? Why are they still in the can?
That I haven't heard about. I mean, they must have submitted, and contracted with them somehow. All you have to do is answer one question, and you're locked in.
They were doing. I got the case from Rich Delmar from the Department of Treasury, who I complained to before I knew not to be complaining, and I still complain to him, actually, when I get really good and upset, him and this FBI guy.
Yeah.
I don't care, because I'm telling him this could be your mother, your grandmother, your child, your grandchild, and it's going to be if you don't do something here.
Right.
But he sent me back. I had complained about somebody trying to do this thing again, this scheme they do where they take you in as a private LLC member.
Yeah.
And they never tell you, so you don't know. So I was
I see.
complaining about that, and to this Rich Delmar, he sent me back the case of Winston Shrout and those guys. And he said, do you want to end up in jail for dealing with people like this?
Really?
So that's where I got it from, yeah. Because he sent me 2 of the cases of the people. And one of them was him. On that case, it listed him. So I don't know, but I know the original case he sent me.
Well, it was Winston. Winston is where I got the information about D.C. closing. And then
He's right about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But there was a very small write-up in a local paper that said that there was a land dispute, a boundary dispute. And that's about the only thing you heard about it. But D.C. is basically gone.
North Carolina's a big one, too.
Right.
Now, North Carolina has 2 forms of government, according to some papers where these researchers did work in the 80s.
Yeah.
They went to the state archives, and they found where North Carolina, I think it's North Carolina, it might be South Carolina. I'll have to look at the papers. Anyway, one of them has a double government and always has had it going on, so that would be a big tie-in on the shadow government, I think.
Right. And yeah. I mean, the whole world knows about this reset, this currency reset, except anybody here in the United States. I mean, why is that?
Cambodia zeroed out in year 0, which was 75 to 79. It was a 4-year period.
Yeah.
They did a zero out. Basically, Greece did a zero out, and I think that Germany, when they did the cocoa bonds most recently, that was the biggest thing that happened. They messed with the judicial machinery bad on an international level in that, because those cocoa bonds
Well, yeah, but when
are a direct result of the ISDA contract over here, where that Deutsche Land Bank, who's operating behind the scenes, and all the courts under all these cases, and I'm telling you they are, I've seen them, and they've changed the names. It's Deutsche Land Bank and Trust, and then they renamed themselves, and they're in cahoots with Mears, and they've had everybody change the names of the cases so that people can't see the real documents in the court case. I've seen them, and I show them on those videos.
Right.
So they went and Deutsche Land transferred a bunch of that to Merkel over there, and their country about went down over it. It caused Brexit, and that is the payoff, the redemption thing. But let me tell you, that was forced too because of the amount of fraud that's been found out over here. And I started complaining about this in 2012, and then they started with this email investigation, the gun running. I've turned in warrants with AK-47 serial numbers on them from the warrant database. I've been claiming that they're running guns under juvenile criminals in a do-si-do. The case is not named in a juvenile or even in anything except for an AK-47 serial number, and I'm talking several.
Right. Now, the Pope declared a Jubilee. It never made it over here. You know, I mean...
Yeah, where's the Jubilee party? We didn't get invited to that either after getting taken out of the damn card game. We are not even getting refreshments. What the hell?
And it's been over a year, you know? And what was it, September of 2015 when they declared the Jubilee?
Well, I know this is we're out of a retrograde right now, I think, which is a good thing, according to this guy named Shaq that was on Robin and Lulu's show the other night. He was astounding. So was that astrologist guy. So was Debbie Carroll. Debbie Carroll's. So, yeah, those people, it was pretty cool listening to them.
Right. Well, Winston steered me in the direction of the book called Invisible Contracts by George Mercier. And I downloaded it. And it's about 600 pages, just a little bit under, and there was some really, really good information in there if you follow it. You can see where people have battled stuff and actually come out on the bottom end of it, and then they did more research because they actually could admit that they did something wrong, you know what I mean? So, and they had more to learn. There's also tax cases in there, and it's also where I learned that the Credit River decision didn't make it. As a matter of fact, Daly.
Yeah, I know, right? And a lot of people have used that.
Exactly, you know, and from what I understand, it didn't make it at all. It's in that text that I was reading, and it's like, well,
isn't that something to know?
Yep, and it all comes back to tort, and tort is an unfair commercial advantage, or commercial gain. okay, where somebody loses and someone else gains, and this is where the bank. I mean,
they're
come
doing
on.
error usage too, or they're doing something called the error of usage. So
Okay.
those commas that they put in there, they can go back and correct all that at a later date under a sua sponte
Really?
decision in rem without the original surety present. So they correct it all behind the scenes, and they say, hey, if these people aren't smart enough to take advantage of 60B, what's it to us? We don't care. We're going to still go ahead and correct our errors.
Yeah. Right.
Because that's the door they leave open. They do it on, and so this is the key. People say, well, in my state, you can't get in trouble for making a mistake, which they actually
Yes,
are
you
doing
can.
the mistaking. But they can get in trouble when you can prove willful intent.
Right.
And if you can show that they're being willfully blind to the fraud upon the court, then those are all the key words that the politicians like Obama, Zero Obama, is telling everybody.
Right. Right. The thing is, I mean, even the judge is on the take, you know. So
Well, he's on the officer roll for sure of the administration of the estates, and they're
Yeah, but
not
he's-
supposed to be pilfering these estates.
yeah, but, and he's probably got his own DUNS number. That I haven't looked up yet. But most of them in the state of Connecticut do. I know the sheriff's department does, and it shows that the sheriff is owning it or being the department itself. But you try to find a business listing for these people, you're not going to find one. They're not there. They're not listed in the state in the business
They're under
directory.
master agreements. You could look under master agreements, not just ISDA. Master agreements, put in the county, the court, the judge's name. Master agreement, the judge's last name. You might find the master agreement he signed, because if anybody's ever input into Google or searched into Google, any of that, it will show up for you in a search if they did.
Right. Well, also, I mean, if you look at
That judge's
five-
name, let me do this. I'll
five
do it.
U.S. Oh, the judge that I did.
Yeah, give me one judge, last name.
Walker.
Okay?
Lance Walker. All right. But yeah, Lance Walker's the guy. Actually, he was sworn in shortly just before my hearing, from what I understand. And I have a copy of his oaths of office, both of them. They're both on one paper. There are two signatures. They look different from each other, almost like two different people signed them. And the federal oath of office.
Commodities and derivative, but it's on Jackson Walker. Has extensive representing both foreign and domestic agreements published by the International Swap and Derivatives Association. I've got a Stephanie Walker, who's a nurse.
Yes, Lance Walker.
There's a master agreement with her.
Yeah, Lance is the judge.
Agreement with the National Park Conservation Legacy National Park Service.
Huh. Now his oath, his federal oath of office was not worded correctly. And it's in quotations how it's supposed to be worded. That's even with Code of Federal Regulations, and it directs you over to 5 U.S.C. 3331. And it's supposed to be verbatim. You know, word for word, whatever's inside those quotation marks. But it's not.
I'm letting kitty cats in.
Ah.
I got foster cats. I have 4 foster cats, and then I've got 3 foster dogs. I have 1 cat and 1 dog originally, and then I became grandmother to these 2 of these little dogs are grand puppies.
Oh, we had
so it's around here. It's definitely.
Yeah, we had a little toy miniature hot dog, and she died here a couple of months ago. She was 19. It was about time, you know. She was old.
Well, you need to look up the judge, because there's all kinds of things on here on, there's a town of Rockport, Maine.
There was a Rockport, yeah, right. Well, his name is Lance Walker, and he works out of the South Paris Court.
So is it Lancelot or just Lance?
No, just Lance. Just Lance Walker. The thing is, they don't use the full middle name, which is their registered name.
Yeah, February 11th of 2014, Governor Paul R. LePage nominated.
That's the one, yeah.
NHD lawyer. What's an NHD?
I don't know. That I don't know.
Okay.
NHD lawyer?
So then you just copy over it. Norman Hansen and Detroit law firm.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a law firm.
It's a law firm.
They do intelligence. Norman Hansen and Detroit.
Huh.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of the black suits.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And Detroit?
That's what you could also need to look up, what's your county?
Oxford.
Thank you.
Oxford County, yeah. There's only 16 counties in the state of Maine. And I'm in the one that's like right up against New Hampshire. There's only 2 of them down here. So, but it's a big county. A lot of woods. Which is really weird. I'm like in the southern end of the county. It's the only place you can get records. You go up to the north end of the county. There's not only are there no records up there, but it's all woods. It's all tree.
Oxford County Sheriff scraps coverage agreement with state police. Call sharing agreement.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
They got a shared county license there too.
That's Sheriff Gallant. Wayne Gallant.
Well, they got a shared county license system.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's.
The black flies of Maine. I keep getting that. The black flies of Maine. You got black flies up there, I take it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're on all our black jeans. They have black flies.
So while it's generally agreed that the woodlands and wetlands are important. You're laughing at me for interrupting, aren't you? I'm sorry.
No, I said we have black jeans. They have black flies. But no.
Okay.
We have a big problem with black flies. They eat you up. They're almost like the no-see-ums, you might call them. These things, I mean, they're almost like mosquitoes, but they're hard to see. They're really, really small. They're not as big as a mosquito, that's for sure. Extremely small flies. And they come around in the spring. So we have what we call a black fly season, which is right around mud season. But we get 2 mud seasons.
They talk about a bone pick in this thing here.
You're liable to find anything.
Indian tribe. It's called Bone Pickers for Maine, and it's got a master agreement in it for these Indians.
Yeah.
And it's First Light Power resources.
Right. The Micmacs are from around here. The Micmacs, Passamaquoddy, a lot of Indian tribes around here.
It's talking about a study of Clark One Site project director and principal investigator. Historic properties management plans. So I'll send that to you. It's 21 pages.
Yeah, sure. Send it to my Facebook, and I'll pick it up there. Yeah, things are pretty weird up here. We do things different here than anybody else does them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you sound like you're from Maine tonight for some reason. I'm just now noticing it.
Well, you know, I guess I've been up here too long or something. I don't know.
What do you call the people from Maine? I'm called an Indianian, supposedly. So we're Mainianians?
Well, no, we're Mainers.
Mainers, okay.
Yeah, we're Mainans, depending, you know.
Well, Carol,
right.
where were you born and raised?
I was told I was born in Indiana.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, you lost that, baby, because you have that accent. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now,
I do, don't I?
It depends on who you talk to. Some of us call us maniacs. So, but we're Mainers.
Okay. I think that you're the main attraction, maybe.
Right.
Well, see, me being in Ohio, I'm a boring guy because what kind of accent do I have? I don't have a half-assed Canadian accent.
I'm Pennsylvania, like you're from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. I mean, good heavens, I don't fit into any group in the way I look at it, unless I'm overlooking something.
Yeah.
Well, you don't. I do, though. That's for sure.
I was raised in.
Well, you do now.
Well, I got my speech.
I really do, because I've been having a hollering fit these last 2 weeks about some stuff. So I've lost my voice from trying to out yell one of my children. So. Who is grown now, and so we got in a kind of a screaming match the other night.
That's not good.
Oh yeah.
And I won, by golly.
Well, here's the thing.
Really?
Never argue and choose your debates. Always, bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll pick you quick enough. You know how that goes.
A 3-year-old.
But yeah, I got my speech therapy in Connecticut. You know, I spent about 20 years there, so that's why I don't sound like a Maina. There you have it. But it's starting to come back, you know, a little bit here and there. The people I hang around, but I spend a lot of time alone. You might call me a hermit. I don't go outside too much. I stay in as much as possible. Out of sight, out of mind. You know how it goes?
Yeah, I do.
And I'm not...
willful blindness. Willful blindness. Willful blindness.
Well, I'm not a people guy. You know?
Right.
I mean...
But that's what the new term is. I'm just saying, I'm trying to be politically incorrect and copy Obama. I'm plagiarizing his willful blindness. Everybody's saying he's guilty of... Why is Obama being willfully blind?
Willfully blind.
That's a key word they're using now. Just like deplorable. And if you do an anagram on that, it means operable. Because we're all special government employees. Hillary hired us, and she doesn't want us to know that we're all being ran through the OFCCP right now for redemption purposes for the United States Congress to pay themselves out in our names. They make me sick.
Unbelievable. You know, and...
They are.
Oh, God. And you try to get that stuff, you know, you try to get your hands on that stuff or some sort of...
You don't have to get that stuff. They're doing it. I have experience in it. They're doing it, and they're telling you they're doing it. They are telling you in those emails, if you listen to where they bring up in Congress about that email with the SGE in it, from that one of her guys, right before Humadez or whatever her name is.
Abedin.
In that investigation... Yeah. They tell it all in that investigation. The Congress are telling the people that for these purposes, anybody out here could be a special government employee. Is that what you're doing? Nobody ever answered, so they're telling us.
Right. Unreal. You know, and you have to know the code words. You have to know their language to figure it out.
Listen to it, and you can replay it on C-SPAN. Some people have only... One of those films that I reviewed, looked at, and then I went to Congress, too, by the way, to get the papers, to get the papers that are online. I haven't went there to get the actual exemplified copies of whatever it is they said, but I've gotten the papers that are online to match up with the testimony because they change it. They will have, the transcript, you'll see different words, so they might say, well, we're going to go down to Alabama, and Alabama runs with Highway 41. Well, in the text, it'll say, we're going to go down and fuck a little girl on 91 in the transcript.
Yeah.
That's the kind of shit they say.
Yeah. Unreal.
Language fraud.
Good heavens.
Unbelievable. It's crazy.
Well, Pizzagate and all this crap, Cosmic Pizza, all the radio shows, it's a pay-per-click. And Bill Clinton in '94 had all of the TV stations, including pizza places, and Bill Cosby, and ping pong places, Pac-Man games, and all that, before everybody on C-SPAN. There was a big round table of about 50 of them doing all these keywords they're doing under Pizzagate. Now, why? Because they want you guys to be pornographists. People that view pornography, search out pornography because you think you're investigating Pizzagate. They need your names. They need your IP.
Yeah,
so that they can prosecute you in their special private courts that you never know you're a party to.
So you type in anything having to do with pizza, and boop, the flags go up, right?
Right, but there's people investigating Pizzagate. Well, that's a pay-per-click. Look at how Trump and Hillary went at the newspapers went at the war game. Well, they had so many key words that they could, the deplorables and the Hillary, all these key words that people were clicking on, they got paid for every click everybody clicked. They got a pay-for-click program. It's not a pay-for-play, it's a pay-for-click.
Right. Yeah.
It's a ping-pong game. They're playing ping-pong with their followers.
How come they haven't shut my show down yet? With all we're talking about tonight.
Well, they don't listen to anybody.
Well,
they are a system of some kind. They're not one person.
Right. Yeah, I figured they'd be listening for keywords and they'd find something in the algorithms or something like that. And
They will.
Bye-bye.
Well, they might even say it's a copyright issue if you try to put it out on YouTube. After you publish it, we use one of their copyrighted words that they're trying to get everybody to say in their quotations and brackets and parentheses. That bracket is where you enter usually.
Yeah.
And the parentheses in the briefs are where they come out. So in their secret world, that's a secret portal entry. Sometimes they have 2 columns with these swirls, this signal, and inside there's some hidden text. So it's almost like that's the entry into the fat lady with pantyhose, and hopefully you got room to squirm around in there. But if they jerk that out, that scroll, it'll show about, 20 lines at least, or 20 lines at most of hidden text that nobody knew about, but that the judge can see as a hidden, and the other lawyers can see as a hidden entry in the brief.
Right.
Microsoft Word's involved directly.
Right.
So they're involved with their system of the electronic case management filing plans, and then Adobe PDF is being manipulated after they have people turn it in with Adobe PDF. You should always protect your Adobe PDF files after you put them in. You got to make sure all the metadata is out, and that there's some privacy settings on it, or they can reconstruct, they still can. They can OCR, optical character recognition, that text. The IT department at the courthouse, they will send it out. Just go look at Adobe, what they can do. Do they have the capability to send your PDF out in 20 different languages? Do they have the capability to change portions of it and leave other portions the same? All those kind of things that they say they can do, that is what they're doing, because they're saying, hey, these are the services we offer. They're a third-party vendor coming in to do the dirty work for the courts.
Wow.
And that's a secret assignment going out to the IT department into the World Wide Web, but it probably right now is still running through what's called an internic. Locally, it's called an internic, and that N is capital. The I's capital, the N's capital. Look up what internic means. And then they run that in an intranet. And now they're running it in internet, and it's going out into, of course, to the World Wide Web. So they filter how certain people get results and what results they get, and we don't get the results within the parentheses or the brackets. And then for sure we don't get the results within the parentheses, because that's where they're hiding the funds. And it's a compensation clause that it's even in there. That's the reason they started including those in contracts. It's the beginning of when the Hollywood stars wanted more pay, and under compensation clauses, they got that crap inserted into everything, and that's why they're part of the Illuminati. So when Madonna sells a record in the North, she's going to pick up the funds in a clause in the East. I hope that made sense.
Well, kind of. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
No, you're not.
This is crazy.
I don't know, hell.
What's horrifying,
I'm a ghost.
As much as we have underneath our belts, and Papa says that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's horrifying. I just think last week, I felt really odd. Maybe it's something that's going over people. They said this guy Shaq said that we were. I think it's Shaquille. Anyway, a friend of mine, and nice young man, he got on that show, and he was saying that we're in retrograde right now and everything feels odd. But I said to my husband, like last week or the week before, I said, "Are you sure?" Because I don't see anybody hardly. I said, "Are you sure that I'm not a ghost? I feel like nobody's hearing or listening to me."
Yeah. And I mean, and I've talked even with my sister. I've told her some little things, and she's like, it's like,
well.
I can't talk to anybody. I can't talk to anybody at all.
Yeah, well, it falls under the category of well.
They may have Google started a program in 2015. Was the first time they put it out in some school children's eyes. They bypassed the lens to create a virtual reality world that took over within 4 minutes. Now, on the internet, they flipped everybody's letters for an intermittent period of time back in 2015. And maybe in 2016, but 2015, I actually saw them flip the text over into my computer. And I called, of course, Microsoft, I think. Anyway, I called the computer and got to get through to people in India, and they fixed it right away remotely, right, which was fine. A lot of people freak out about that. I wanted to see what they were doing, so they flipped it over remotely from India. And so if you got a Google page that you sign into, unsign out of it. Make sure you got your password.
Yeah.
Close down your internet, get back on, and look at the news, for instance, or go to YouTube without being signed in and see what's trending. You're going to see some special tags, and everything is from India. Because ICANN was taken over on October the 1st, not ICANN, but an ICANN affiliated group took over the Internet, the management of the Internet, and the tags like the .coms, they now can do .suck, .8, .period. They can do whatever they want because they're in charge now. The same day that Wells Fargo quit using the reported customer credit cards that they had issued under false names, but they didn't release the list of who those customers were.
Right. So what if I
it's
open
true
up...
that, and the Congress said, is it true that somebody could not be a customer and not know? And he said, oh, certainly.
All right. What if I open up a private window? You know, in my browser...
No, I haven't tried it.
You have the option to open a private window, like in Firefox. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I do know what you mean, but I haven't tried that. You'll have to try it because I don't go incognito.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because
I do everything out. Unless I'm going to Google Mirror incognito, I go to Google Mirror on the Mac. On the PC, I might not, but on the Mac, I go to Google Mirror, and you can type your name in backwards because that's the Chinese version of our Google that started around 2002, and it's involved with the stolen identities and false names. It's called false identities. Is a big stamp on the page, but it's xdd.org. That's X and in Xerox. D is in dog, D is in dog, .org. And you can do xdd2.org, xdd3.org, and it has search engines up in the top right-hand corner to where you can take those down, and through a process of like deducing or eliminating, it'll be under phone numbers 1 through whatever, you get to whatever your area code is, and it'll start giving you choices. You'll get it narrowed down to your phone number. Well, that phone number will be tied to a fake address with fake passport numbers, all kinds of stuff going on. And that belongs, if you look under frequently asked questions in that website and explore it even more and go under GNU, it's under open sourceware. This is Soros-type stuff. Mozilla's involved.
Yeah. Okay.
Firefox is involved.
Yeah.
Several of the big players involved, and the Koch brothers.
So
the COCH brothers and some other people where they're having parties in it. They got pictures of people in goat's heads masks and all kinds of stuff. And this is like through the back door.
So
going through the back door.
Is this why I see headlines about this deal with China and their version of Amazon coming over here to the United States? Is that why I see that happening?
I don't know. That's a possibility. But I know
that's what they're talking about.
That Google Mirror is pretty interesting, and you want to be maybe going under incognito on there because that is China. That was their portal in.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's why they said, that's what they state anyways. That's why they got it. So,
well,
and it goes from right to left. When you type, it goes from right to left. So just imagine our papers, our court papers, and a guy in there taking the PDF and manipulating it with the OCR taken out of what we see language into Unicode, and then transporting that into Chinese. So on the back side, they've transported our case over to the Chinese because they've got all of those cases have QSIP numbers, and they're being traded on the international market. So that's a swap derivative that they've got involved with China.
Right. Huh.
That in itself is a reason enough to not consent or participate or refuse to contract. That's a terrible one-sided system, and they can go do whatever. It's screwed up. And if I get in there, if they would ever let me, and I'm going to go up there in February and be a witness for what I found on this one case. And I've been a witness before, and I've testified in 11 depositions, and they never did trip me up. I looked at it as an opportunity to get my facts on the record based on their exhibits and their documents, not on my own, so
Right.
not some theory. It's like, based on this, it says that the property is located at 9037 Curry Road, Rio, Wisconsin. But if you look at the note that they're presenting, it says that this is in West Dallas, Wisconsin, a town almost 80 miles away. So the note has the wrong address. Hello.
Right,
and
right.
this lady, the heading, spelled the name wrong of the street.
Yep.
So then I just say, bar attorney, Kristen Kerr of J. Peterman Legal Group, caused to be entered into the court documents that are forged and false securities.
Okay.
And over again you do that to them.
Right. Got it.
It's like in this system, it's P.P. Herman. I know you are, but what am I? Whatever they say you do, I mirror that, and it's on you now. That's how you do it, because that's how they do it.
Right. Well, it's like the Foreign Immunities Act, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know about that, but go ahead.
Well, the Foreign Immunities Act, the government is a foreign state, or the offices are foreign.
I don't know about all that. See,
well, that's why
I don't know about.
See, that's why you can't sue a judge, because they fall under the Foreign Immunities Act. It's like, well, if you fall under the Foreign Immunities Act, so do I. Right?
Well, unless you're coming in as a debtor, what they label you, or you let them do it, you got to rebut every presumption they make. And what if you don't know they're making those presumptions on paper because it's a shadow docket?
And that's the thing, you don't know what the
presumptions are. You got to get through all 10 layers of it almost. But we're through three. We're through four properties. There's 4 properties involved in this one property, and it's right in their records. There's 4 properties. There's a mortgage, and it ties to the land records office, and the original mortgage is to another property of a lawyer and some stripper gal, it sounds like. She's got all kinds. She's got a whole bunch of properties, and she likes to frequent Las Vegas. So, and then the other property's tied to an administrative law judge in another county under a city where all the properties are going under these chief administrative law judges in the state. The chief one that's put into office to administrate the special courts, the special drug courts, all these kind of things. That person right there, he gets to do something too with a layer of this. So then the other one, the other property is in the other loan papers, because all 3 of the loans since the year 2000 have the wrong address. I've just toned it down to 3 actual properties based on this one.
Right.
So it's not going to look good for them, and this hasn't been brought up yet.
See, that's the thing about presumptions. They make these presumptions, and you don't know what they are. They're not going to disclose them to you. I mean, that's non-disclosure in itself. It's like, how am I supposed to...
I think that it needs to be, if anybody's going to be a witness, which I will be, that specific questions need to be asked of me, and then of the other parties that are actually the people that inherited the land and had the deed. They need to ask them if they ever agreed to this, because they're going in and making the presumption and putting it forth like you guys agreed.
Right.
So
See, one of the presumptions is that there's a note. It's like, okay, great. Where's this note? Don't make that assumption. Where is this note?
In the court.
And that's when I asked for it, and they didn't have it. I said, well, you know what?
The court has it. You need to ask the court for it. They have it. The court is holding the notes.
Well, according to Perry versus...
and I got a picture of one. It says, attached to note, do not record. It's a rider loan. The courts are holding them. That's who has them, the courts. And
that's what I noted to court. I got a notarized statement. It says, according to Perry versus Fairbanks, no... foreclosure is perfected until the original's note is returned to the signer or canceled by the court. I haven't seen either one. I want to see one or the other,
and they won't see canceled by the court though. Because they don't. How they cancel it out is by putting another rider on it.
Yeah, but
you got to get like this fireman 10 different times to try to prove. It seems to me, or they fix it by going through. For every foreclosure, there's 9 more things going on before they get up into the real bankruptcy, through the trust to the bankruptcy mill.
Right. You see, I noticed them, and I said, look, you've got 10 days to produce this note, so I can see if it's either canceled or returned to me. You've got 10 days to do it. Otherwise, your whole judgment is void. It's void on its face. I never heard a thing. They still tossed me out. They've still got that filing in the court. It's recorded.
Well, the 60B3 needs to be a motion all by itself, and you need to file that, and you need to just go by the guidelines on their rules if you're going to do that. I don't know how any other. This is how we're going to proceed in all ways. And I do want to add, they never did answer the counter on my daughter.
They never answered
Now, my
mine.
daughter at the very end said, you know what, it's not worth it, and I don't care. But it's not over yet either, because they haven't sold the property, and my name's on that. So my name's been associated with that through them. I got them with a secret testimony and everything where I was talking once, and somebody took my statement as a witness, as transcriber did, and they didn't tell me. But the place I ordered it from goes, you want the exhibits or the witness testimony for a Carlo Isaacs, and I'm Carol Isaacs. That's my married name.
Okay.
So it's Carol Keihn is my maiden name that I used.
Yeah.
I didn't even know not to use what's deemed the real name. I didn't come up under any handle or any of that when I got on Facebook. I just keep the same stuff I've always had. I used to post pictures of flowers and puppy dogs.
Right.
But no longer do I do that.
And now the title?
I post doom and gloom all day long.
The title insurance company is supposed to make sure it has a clean title when it goes. Don't they take care of this? I mean...
Well, they do take care of it by perpetrating the fraud, because the court feeds them that they need under that lot or that block of properties they're holding in there, that they need 9 more assignments for every new loan that they insure.
Okay, so this is where the insurance fraud comes in, right?
Why, yeah, I would say sure it does. At the title company, everything comes in.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew there was insurance fraud there.
Agent is a huge deal.
Right. See, this, I know a woman in Florida that's going through this, and she mentioned identity theft and
well, it's really not our identities. What it is they are actually using in a scheme to defraud government-issued property. That's how I'd go after them if I were going to, and I am going to go into court and claim these things in their court.
Okay, so
I'm working on it. I work real hard on it, and I don't put out everything because I want to make sure that, you know, that case is heard right. It's filed where it needs to be filed. Then I'll let everything out what I'm saying they're doing, because I've been talking to people that know what they're doing. Like, I'm not afraid to call an actuary that testified before Congress. I'm not afraid to call lords. Well, my partners aren't afraid to call lords over in England if we got to talk to them in the English part of this whole deal. Right. And it's English, which is interesting, that word English. You know, that's what the the German Baptists and the Quakers, they call people English sometimes. Us, English.
Right.
We're an outer English system, and that's the ISDA is only, it can only come in under English or New York law. That's the entry. And everything, all contracts have to be Sharia compliant. Everybody has to be in with Sharia compliance, and all parties have to be notified that they're part of a contract under this. And that's where they're violating Securities Exchange Commission Act Rule 10b-5, I think.
We're at the top of the hour here. Why don't we go ahead and take our second break? And what do you think? Sounds like a plan? Get another cup of coffee you got to get?
Yeah, I might.
All right. Well,
alrighty then.
Why don't we do that?
Right,
there you go. You're listening to Show Us, Don't Tell Us on the L&M Radio Network, and we shall return.
Let me assure you that our priority will remain to ensure stability and security
in order to ensure the security and continuing stability.
Stability. Security. For Canadians.
Galactic Empire!
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
Attention L&M Radio Network listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the L&M Radio Network by calling 605-562-4203? No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 605-562-4203 to listen to the L&M Radio Network on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Brothers at Arms is not about being militant, though there is a time and place where that is necessary. Brothers at Arms is not about arguing, though there are times where things may get heated. Brothers at Arms is not about who is right or wrong. There are many sides to each issue. Brothers at Arms is about exploring those sides, about dealing with the issues facing us today, about coming together and, through opposing views, understanding the deeper truths that are in the middle. Join Ira Robinson and Joe Long each Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on LateNightInTheMidlands.com as these Brothers at Arms discuss what you need to know. Brothers at Arms, it's about time. Have you been looking for answers? Have you been seeking the truth but can't seem to find it? Late Night in the Midlands has the answers for you. Whether you are interested in the paranormal, aliens and UFOs, alternative health information, or just a little hope and inspiration, we have a show for you. Late Night in the Midlands, The Secret Teachings, Open Eyes, Red Pill Reality Show, Brothers at Arms, and many more shows. All here on the L&M Network for you to listen to at any time that you want. Everything is free to listen to, and though it is not required, we are listener supported, and all donations are deeply appreciated. You will not find shows like these in the mainstream media. Go to LateNightInTheMidlands.com to listen. The L&M Network, where the truth has no fear.
This is TJ Sanfilippo, host of Navigating the River Styx. Join us each and every Thursday night at midnight here on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Together, we will traverse the forbidden waters of the paranormal, the occult, our hidden history, conspiracies, and things that dwell in the darkness and the deep. Come, grab a seat by the fire away from the night that is closing in. I have tales to tell you. When the clock strikes 12, I invite you to join us here on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Until then, stay safe.
The L&M Radio Network and Late Night in the Midlands depends on you, the listener. Without you, there would be no us. So help us continue to bring you the best guests with the best information and subscribe today. Information on becoming an L&M subscriber can be found at the top of LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Just click the About Subscriptions tab and become part of the family while helping the truth stay alive. And while you're at it, maybe subscriptions aren't for you. A one-time donation helps as well. Click that donate button on the right side of LateNightInTheMidlands.com and help us help you.
Welcome back to Show Us Don't Tell Us. You're listening. Yeah, I'm Papa Bear. We're on the L&M Radio Network, and we've got, of course, Skills we've got every week, and we've got Carol Keihn with us. Oh, my goodness. Carol. Let's pick up where we left off. We were I don't even remember anymore.
Well, good heavens.
I'm
sure
so tired.
Carol will indeed successfully remedy us in regards to that. Carol, good heavens, well, welcome back after the break.
I'm telling you. I mean, that's why I want to, that's why I filed for, what do you call it? Disability. I'm just tired. Anyway.
Guess what? Don't worry about it, because you're just getting a portion of what they get for you.
Yeah.
And you're just not even getting any of the interest or any of the earnings that you have earned behind the scenes, because they have hijacked government-issued property with an agreement of some kind that they have, and everybody's going in and claiming identity theft, and it's good to do a 2848 to revoke powers of attorneys at the IRS, and it's good to do an identity theft affidavit with the FTC and report it into that database. But it's even better that if you're going to draw up something, you make sure that you put that they are using government-issued identity to not, they're using it to be paid in $10,000 increments to a TAN account, which is a tax account number that ties to India. They're doing it through the state excise department. They're getting paid in $10,000 increments, and they're using government-issued property, which is the IDs, to not report on the IRS side and to not report from the state side to the federal side under grant prerogatives or grant requirements that they report these things, and they're doing that in a scheme. So the government does not, whoever the head guys are, I think that's how they would be able to prosecute, because that's certainly how they correct when they bring our names in and use them in place of these turnkeys that are doing this, and these administrative experts and agents and accountants. Because I know on one side of this thing, on the Treasury side, I have been told by an attorney, a private attorney, I think, or a private lawyer, whatever. Anyway, he said that there's a tax form that needs to be filled, or a form that needs to be filled out and handed in at the Treasury window. So, well, and that's how you get paid out. And especially if you have ever done a whistleblower, a 211, and you've ever been given a claim number, well, that's how you claim the magic Willy Wonka ticket. You got to have an accountant only, not an attorney, but an accountant only, and pay about $300, and then that person puts your name in, and you get the payout.
Really?
That would be good information to have, huh?
See, I know an accountant. I know a good accountant. You said
ask him about it.
You said a 211? Is that what you said?
Yeah. If you ask him about if you were a whistleblower and you got awarded funds or an award number, they give you an award number, is what I hear. If you get that and you've had it, and you find out that internally that they're actually operating it and collecting money in your name, what form is it that person would have to have with that claim ticket, basically that number, to get a Treasury window that would pay them out on that? And it's cost about $296.97 for them to register you, and it has to be an accountant, because the law firms get the accountants to do it under their implied power of attorney for the people that they're representing, or the entity, the all caps name.
Yeah.
That's why you got to get rid of the powers of attorney on the IRS side.
Okay. So I have to revoke the power.
And you can look at an IRS Treasury, or I put an IRS Treasury Circular 230, it's 44 pages long, and it tells you, just put yourself in the role of these people. It's for lawyers and accountants, and it tells you what you can and can't do before the IRS. So you can see, if you read all those 44-page examples, what you would be doing with your identity. Just put yourself in that role, though, put yourself outside of yourself into their role to see what you could do with the identity of you and your family.
Okay. All right.
And people will figure it out in better ways than I have, so.
The Treasury is Circular 230. I've got that written down. I'll wind up listening to this again, obviously. This is just too much for this soul man's feeble little mind to absorb.
No, it is not, but I'll be quiet. You guys talk, I'll be quiet.
No, you're doing fine, because the more you pack into this 3-hour thing, the more I can go back and listen to later. That's the best I can say. But the identity theft one, I had it all ready to go, but I never sent it out. And I'm one of those guys. It's like I want to make sure I've got everything.
The FTC's where I went, and of course they try to say how they will go in and put it into their database for law enforcement. Well, the law enforcement won't take identity theft affidavits at the lowest level. They had a memo out from the Lieutenant Attorney General, this Ellerspan, I think, or another chick, back in 2012, to not take identity theft reports at the county level, or at the county seat, the city and the county seat.
Okay.
They wouldn't take the identity theft reports. They had a memo out saying they couldn't. So when we went federal, because it had to be done over those grandchildren, those offspring, everybody, you know, I know what to say on court papers. I don't feel like talking like that, though, so I'm going to just talk like I talk. Anyway, my grandchildren had their identities taken, and it was clear. It was in the crook file that I found. I mean, their identities were there. It showed how they do it and everything.
Right.
They changed the last name of the three houses owners, and they were probably straw owners. Here comes this seller guy, and he's not a seller. He's not an owner of record anyway. The people that abandoned the house, that's why they keep the names in the house in your name after the foreclosure, so they can do it to you even more.
Right, okay. And, oh boy.
And it goes on and on and on what I followed, and I followed their paperwork, so I know what I'm talking about. And guess what? They did it to her. They didn't know her. They did it to everybody the same way. It can be replicated, this system, and once you look, it'll all come down. Their little house of cards. The more people that get this and start doing it, and I think, from what I'm seeing, those mandamuses and all that, none of that's working now. I'm telling you, the fraud upon the court has teeth. There's an article about it having teeth, and it's seldom used. One of the lawyers that I see using it is Matt Widener down in Florida.
Right, yeah.
Now, he's got it on YouTube. There's 2 fraud upon the court cases. I think they're both his.
Yeah.
So he's actually won.
Right.
Now, one of them's in the medical field, but all of this comes in because under a 401 on the computer systems and all these on all these counties, that, by the way, the Municipality Lawyers Association has and look that up. I'll try to find the exact name, but anyway, it's the Municipalities Lawyers Association. So, like the LA attorneys that are collecting or doing all this whistleblower award under under Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
They're all involved, but they're like the head honcho now. It used to be Lincoln, Nebraska was the place where it was headquartered.
Right.
Now that's where boys
the identity theft with the IRS, there's a starting date on that, isn't there? Isn't there a date you specify where you think that they might have stole your identity?
No, you don't have to. You can put in the affidavit part for the identity theft. You can put in there that you were involved in either a court case or a mortgage or a purchase transaction or what appears to be a illegal, not lawful transaction, and that in those transactions you think that the government issued identity was stolen and used in fraud.
Okay.
And that's all you got to do.
Okay.
You don't got to write them a book because everybody, they already know. They've already reported you.
Right, but isn't there
a person in the background now listen, there's a person at the insurance company. I caught my insurance agent doing this. There's a person at your insurance company that's claiming that your identity has been stolen and their freaking name already.
Really?
Yes.
Unreal.
They get caught every step of the way with me, and I'm telling, almost, they're probably like, oh my God.
Well, something's going on.
And I show it.
Something's going on because I got something from the IRS that says, hey, you know what, you underpaid this year. And it's like, what the hell's going on? You know, I had an accountant do that. There's no reason why I should have underpaid if I had an accountant do it. It was certified. This thing is, you know, it was all done. But now all of a sudden you give me
your accountants, you got to get rid of them too. There's a
5 years later.
Well, they always have a power of attorney. The accountants do. If you go to anybody for taxes, they can go in and amend them without your knowledge.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to have to.
There's agents for the government that have dual roles. They not only H&R Block you might think they just work for you, but hell, I think they work for the government too. So they work for the other 9 of you that they got going on.
Right.
And you just don't know it because.
Right.
because they're treating you in that respect as an authentic original, and they're just leaving you out of the circle by saying he's sovereign in this respect. We won't touch him. We won't let him know about the other 9 identities that are tying to the 9 rider loans.
Yeah,
that are tying to the 9 cars and 9 vehicles that are injured on the property by storms and floods, where we're shifting the flood maps.
Huh. Unreal. Wow.
It's like you've been sliced in 10 pieces. And it could be 100 pieces by now. It is at some level, but at the very lowest level, you got right off the bat. If you're taken into court for property, you got 10 slices they're going to take out of you, and you only know about one. You think you're just one piece of you. You think, no, they couldn't be doing it.
Fractional reserve.
It is at the lowest level. So we are the money, after all, probably. We are the credit for the note.
We have to be, because we're the only thing. We're the only thing that gives anything any value. I mean, a car is worth nothing if it just sits there and nobody uses it. It's not worth a penny.
It's worth something if they can claim that they sold you a ghost, a haunted house. That's why they had the haunted house legislation on real estate. And back in about 15, 20 years ago, they decided that during Ghostbusters time, that the real estate agents would be liable if they sold anyone a haunted house. And they said, that's a great idea. We could sell them a haunted house by having them assume the former homeowner's obligation. Even if it's 1 cent, we can do that. We can reverse time in this system, and they'll never know.
Yeah.
We can make that buyer the seller by making them assume the former owner's obligation at a key point in time, which is an anchor date.
Yeah.
And in this instance, my daughter signed on the 14th, and the other one signed on the 13th of the same month, but different years. And they just changed the years. And it was from March the 13th of 2003 to March the 14th of 2008. It was exactly 5 years. Now, they have to give it a year from the time that they already have in the tax assessor's office, because they've made a note to themselves in the records to check this property again in 2012 for 2008.
Yeah.
And then they started the foreclosure at the boot end of 2012. They started the foreclosure, the wrongful foreclosure, but it went in line with some of their flood insurance and lead obligations to report to people these notices that they were required to give. That the timing on this goes in line with those things, because that legislation to protect people is actually meant for them to bring in, through the regulators, the funds on the backside.
Right. You know what? I hate this. I had a question and it's gone, and it just, I mean, my mind races. Well, no, my mind races, and I get a question, and all of a sudden it's like poof, it's gone.
Say it to me. I'm sorry, you got to shut me up.
I don't even. Yeah, right.
You'll think of it in a minute. Yeah, I know, right? I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet now. I'm going to mute out. You guys talk.
No. You go ahead, because
come back to you.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. I mean, because all the stuff that we're talking about, like I said, my feeble little mind is having a hard time accepting absorbing any of this. To be honest.
Well, you don't have to accept it. Just go look at your paperwork and see if it leads you there.
Right. Yeah.
Then you can accept it if you want to, and don't have to if you don't want to. And it's not going to, I don't even know it's going to do any good to know these things. I haven't tried this yet, but there's a gal that's got a child involved that we're going to try it with, and then there's another one with the house that we're going to try it with.
Yeah.
And I am not even going to try. I am going to come in and do it for my entire bloodline, all the offspring and their offspring, and all of them are my offspring. So we're going to get operative with them as much as I can, and I'm just going to tell them what has happened, because it's all entwined in the mother's estate. See.
Well, I thought about filing a quitam, but it's like, I got to go to Portland to file a quitam.
Do a civil quitam.
Huh?
You can do a civil quitam, but mostly they want to do the criminal ones, and that requires the DOJ to be involved. But you can do a civil quitam.
Yeah. But you have to do that in a federal court, right?
I'm not sure where you have to do it at. I'd have to check for sure, because all courts are federal under Admiralty, so they want to act like they just got state courts, but they're just lying and not telling you about the federal rule.
Yeah.
And if they were, this is how they run the federal rule in part. The National Mortgage Settlement Act calls the federal courts to be joined through the bankruptcy and the blight programs with the state courts, and they don't want to tell you about that connection, but that connection's there. They are already federal.
Right, and it's really weird because they call the court up here the district court. Well, the federal court down in Portland is called a district court. They got the same damn name, and it's like, well, how can you tell one from the other?
It's a shared responsibility because of the like issues and the commonalities like the National Mortgage Settlement Act and the ISDA, Secret Master Agreement with the courts and all these parties like the title companies and all that.
Right.
They got to make sure their contracts are able to have trigger points in them, and the trigger points are back dates where the orders are issued and they do it, but they do it in a scheme that the lawyers have actually helped. The ABA has helped with.
Right. Yeah, well, I talked to a lawyer about a 60B case. He didn't want to know nothing. I called him back the second time. He says, if you're not paying me, I don't want to talk to you. And I'm like, I'm so broke I can't pay attention, I mean, I've been smoking these damn cigars that cost me $1.25 a pack. It's all I can afford. I have not earned any money for over 2 years. Wherever I can scrape it up here and there. That's it.
Well, you seem like a fairly happy guy, and so that's one lesson that you've learned, that money doesn't make you happy.
Well, I know that.
It might make it easier.
Yeah.
A lack of money makes you conservative.
I can make myself happy, but I look down at my pants and I get depressed. Who are you gonna please with that?
Do what you got to do. Is what
not even me.
It sounds like you're trying to.
Well, yeah, but I feel like I'm spinning my wheels is because I'm having a real hard time. I skip, and other things race through my mind. It takes me forever. I've got 200 pages on a PDF file. 200 pages. It took me 3 days. 3 days, and I still have to go over it again because I can't retain this stuff, and it takes me forever to read. I'm reading the same sentence over and over again to make sure I understand it.
Then maybe have Adobe read it to you, or to where you hear it. Maybe you learn by actually hearing versus reading and rereading.
Maybe, but I have to write stuff down. I have to go back over it and write stuff down again. I go back over it and I write stuff down. I do this with all kinds of videos. It takes me forever to go through a video too.
I do that. I did that too. I do that too.
See, with me, when that occurs, it means that I have other things on my mind. So you're trying to read something.
My mind is constantly.
It's racing. You have so many other things on your mind.
I can't sleep at night because my mind is racing.
Well, until you start reading, then you go to sleep.
Well, then I got to hit the bowl, and it's like, well, I haven't had any of that in 2 weeks. That ain't going to work either. How do I get to sleep? And it's like, well, I'm sitting here at my desk. All of a sudden, it's like, well, right before showtime, I feel like I'm going to go to sleep. Well, look, I'm plugging through the show, not a problem. I'm going to be up until 7 o'clock. I'm not going to get any sleep. And then my brother is going to be, you got to come down to the hospital and pick me up. We got to go check out this car that I'm going to be picking up. And it's like, go. And then my mind is racing all at the same time, and I'm trying to put everything together and correlate everything. And then there's stuff I'm missing. It's like, well, I got to go back and look again. And I'm going back, and whenever I look at something, this correlates with this. And then here I am back in the mash of things again. It's something wrong. There's something wrong. And I just can't get my finger on it. But my mind races constantly. Wow. Anyway.
Like I said, that's why you need to read a book.
You know what I need? All I need is a credit card, and that's it. I don't care. I get my truck, get my gas, go somewhere, go sit somewhere. I'd rather sit in a park somewhere and enjoy nature with nothing around me and try to clear my mind. And I know it's going to race. It races no matter what. There's something going on. There's always something going on in my mind. Is just go. My body doesn't say that anymore. Your body says, sit down. Sit down.
I truly enjoyed what you had said earlier when you said, God, that's it. I've seen enough, man. Man, just take me out of here, and when I wake up, I'll be out of here.
Yeah.
And then you woke up and you were in the same
It's
room.
like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Okay, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go to sleep, and when I wake up, I don't want to recognize anything around me. Well, it doesn't work. You know, I wake up and I'm in the same room. It's like, well, I guess I take what I get. You know.
No, there's different things going on around you. It's just that they have bent reality slightly at this point, and pretty soon people might start seeing the dead bones in the ocean because they've been they've been covering up some stuff for a while. So they people are getting glimpses and they can't tell what's going on. Like you're going, I don't know what's going on. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's not? It's what's right is how you should be looking at it really seriously.
Yeah, and this wasn't so bad when I was in my trailer. You know, when I was out there in the middle of nowhere, a mobile home. You think nobody would cherish a mobile home? Am my trailer trash? I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm out there. I'm away from the radio signals. I'm here in town now, and it's like, how many of these towers we got around here? I'm getting polluted. I'm getting polluted. I need to get out of here. I really do.
You've got a force field around you. You need to think about it.
I've got something infiltrating a field or something. I don't know.
Well, you've got a force field that you need to concentrate on.
Really?
Just think about it. Pretend like you got one and concentrate on it.
Okay.
Like why you dial.
Unbelievable. Because my mind just goes and goes and goes and goes because I'm always grasping at straws. The answers are probably right in front of me and I don't even see them. You know, I'm in a bathroom taking a dump and it's like, oh, now I get it. Something clicks, you know? And it's like, well, I learned this stuff months ago. Today it clicks? What happened? How'd that happen?
Lovely.
You know what I mean?
Typical guy thing there, right there.
Well,
Dumpalooski. Well, no, that is indeed a guy thing, man. I'll tell you what. That's my library time throughout all of the years, and I remember, such as my dad, you know, and that is a dude's relaxing time, man.
No, it isn't. I go in there, I get the job done, I get out, you know, and
that's library time, baby.
I don't take while you're in there. You just said
I don't take anything to read with me at all, you know. But my mind is constantly racing, and I'm in there. All of a sudden, bam! It hits me.
You were never one of those guys that read the shampoo bottles and whatever you can grab.
No.
Really?
No.
Oh yeah.
No. I get in there. I get it done. I get out. That's. But constantly thinking about something. My mind is racing.
You poop like a girl.
My mind is. Why do you think I get anxiety when I start up my show? It's like I got so much on my mind, and I got to have this stuff too. It's like my head just goes crazy. It's just so much going through my mind all the time. I can't even listen to music anymore because it's like I don't even hear it. I don't hear anything anymore. It's like my mind is just going and going and going, and I don't hear anything.
You just don't get it. It's a guy thing. It's like a woman giving birth, only in a minute scenario.
You know, throw something else in the mix. You know, hey, here's something you got to think about. You know, it's like, oh my God, got a problem with the bike now. Oh my God, here we go. You know, and it's like there's always something. Always something. I don't even have my snowblower. My old neighbor's got it. He's using it. I don't have it.
Yeah, it's so you go in there and you grab a book or your phone or whatever and make sure because who knows what they're clicking on in regards to the filmography.
But I have to basically just stop. You know what I mean?
Well, no, then you twist off your ring baloney. Granted, it might take your feet off the floor, okay, to back to when you was a little kid, depending on what you get, and move along.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to wind up going over this audio again 3 more times just to make sure I got stuff, because I just lose it. But yeah, the 60. I talked with one lawyer. I don't want to talk to attorneys. You know how that goes, right? Their first duty is to the court. And I talked with a lawyer. He didn't want to have anything to do with it. Nothing. Gave me a little bit of advice the first time I talked to him. The second time, you're not paying me? Well, sorry, can't talk to you.
Oh, yeah, right. He wants payment up front, and then he'll drag you along.
Well, that's wonderful. I'd be more than happy to pay him. You know what?
Yeah.
I'd be happy getting in a truck with a whole bunch of tools and stuff loaded into it, and just driving around helping people who are broke down or cleaning stuff out of the road. But you can't afford to do that, you know? If I could get paid to do that, it would be one thing, but I love helping people. I really love helping people. It's my weak spot. I would spend my life helping people.
I know how you are, but there's your attorney. Well, hey, forget the third. So look a little shaky. Why? Because they're all part of the bar, for God's sakes. You were well aware of that. Yeah. It's like, well, I need some money up front, and I'll drag some more money out of you and tell you.
Yeah.
Isn't looking good. It's not.
You know, and then you try to get something.
Hey, I'm going to say this. There are some attorneys that see that the only way that we're going to need attorneys to turn this system around. We're going to need some that have a conscience, and there are maybe. We'll have to see here pretty soon, because I heard the guy about the Florida case, the old lady about the 57-year-old. I heard they're going to put him in jail, the attorneys that did this in the first place. So let's see if we don't have a good one that maybe can turn things around.
Well, if Bornstein will turn things around, I'll go see him. You know, he's got enough offices around here. But they look like another high-class New York City lawyer, you know, just out to get money. You really don't know.
You don't need a lawyer to do a fraud upon the court. You can come in different ways.
Yeah.
And anybody can do it. So.
Administrative, I've done it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but.
I don't either. That's, you know, I'd need some sort of guidelines on that. The fraud upon the court, the 60B. But I'd be all over that. I want to eliminate this.
You have to prove that they committed by deceit, or, you know, like an intent to deceive the court.
What about
the
court?
The office of court, then that's the court itself. It's not about the judge or that actual room. It's the office of court. So they came in and used the office of court, and they used it for fraud.
Okay, so
and they did it in such a way that it affected the judicial machinery.
Okay.
The judicial machinery, from what I can tell, started in 1944.
Okay, so this is where the tort comes in, right?
Well, I would say 1944 is, I don't know for sure.
Because tort is who gets commercial gain, you know, and obviously any type of bank account, anything associated with a bank account, the bank is going to get financial gain, period. You know, I mean, that place was in my family for 30 years. All of a sudden, it's gone.
The court is the bank in this instance.
I understand that too, but you've got like the ones that took me to court was Key Bank. You know, you've got them mixed in it too. The court is always a bank. Yes, the bench is a bank, and the clerk is, of course, a clerk. Just like
I think they're a national association.
They are, yeah.
The bankers are, and I think it's just like when I said the case says U.S. Bank or J.P. Morgan, Chase, NA. That NA is a different entity, and that's the national association I'm talking about. Or National Alliance one.
Right, but usually, now, I've heard that they put the comma in there in the NA. It's like the NA is a separate entity because it's like two different entities. It's like, okay, well, it was a second party, right?
Right. Right, exactly. And there's a gun case in Illinois that was, I think, in 2013, and I don't know the name of that from my memory, but I read it in real time when it was happening. So, or right at the very day it came out, I subscribed to all the stuff I can on their legal news, and they said that under the Constitution, one of the entries in the Constitution had a comma, and they said that actually meant for two separate rights or two separate issues because of the comma. And that is, the linguists call the comma usage that they're doing.
Yeah.
It's fraud, but it's called error usage.
Okay.
ERRO usage, and they're using it to key to each other so they can later change it and come back in and change the case ex parte in su sponte.
Arrow usage. Okay, that's what happens when they put that NA on there?
That's what may happen. I gotta actually stated on the record, which I have, and they haven't answered since 2012, but I need to state it in these cases too, so we'll see if they challenge that.
It's weird. It's like they've gone rogue. You know, it doesn't matter what you do. Unless you got a big checkbook, they've gone rogue. They don't care about you. You know,
well, they should care. They should care, because under, like, 329 in bankruptcy, if they try to come in and stop a stay you have to sell your house, where you file bankruptcy, that 329E they don't want you to know about, and that's where they go in after the lawyers for bankruptcy fraud, because they're committing bankruptcy fraud. They know better.
Right. 1099?
Yeah, it might be a 1099 or a 1019. Right? Anyway, it's a 329 rule, I think, on E is the one you'd want to get. I'm pretty sure it's E or B. Anyway, one of them's about attorneys, and it's not about us. That's the attorneys, where they're going to go in and play like they're punishing each other, but they're actually collecting funds, because they're not going to be in trouble. They're just going to be playing a role.
Right.
It makes it look good, but they never do anything to the attorneys under that, saying. But there are attorneys who will, because I read an article from a law firm that was from the American Bar Association. Some attorney wrote it on the perils of 329.
Right.
A lot.
Right.
For the attorney, that is.
Right.
They're saying if you get caught trying to use a conveyance that you know is fatally flawed or illegal or not lawful, if you get caught as an attorney, you'll be sanctioned. And it's in bankruptcy court. And did you know that people can ask for a jury trial in bankruptcy court and have the bankruptcy court preside over it?
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
If it gets so, let's say you've made it to the state court, you lost your case, but you're still in bankruptcy. Or even a federal case, you've lost the case in those courts, but then you go into bankruptcy. Well, then the trustee moves against you. If you can show that they're bringing in any instrument that's fake or doesn't have the proper address or any of that, if you can do all that in that forum, when they come in for the stay, you can actually flip it on them. You should still protest the judge ruling on that, but you can flip it on them to where if you're going to do it over my objection, because you got to object because he's treating you as a debtor.
Yeah.
Because you went there for debtor protection.
Right.
And I had to learn real quick about any bankruptcy code. I just been doing this the last 3 days. I didn't want to learn about bankruptcy at all.
Right. Huh.
That shows the bankruptcy mill, see?
Yeah. Unreal. I got a lot of stuff to think about.
Well, I'm going to be working on some cases. I'll know more the mid of February to be able to talk again. If you want to have me back, I'll tell you how a case goes.
You know, I'll do that. You know,
I'm going to be a witness.
You just get a hold of me and let me know. You know, when you're going to be ready to come back on, and we'll slide you in. Not a problem.
Well, February 7th, I'm going to be made available as a witness. And I'm also going to have testimony on the record in a federal miscellaneous file, so they're not, and it's going to be exemplified when it comes back out.
Yeah. So
they're not going to be able to deny it.
Huh.
We may even have it authenticated if the Secretary of State would carry that affirmation in the affidavit of fact.
Right. February 7th, if we were doing a show on the 7th, it would be our 1 year anniversary.
Awesome.
Yeah, but we're doing it on the 6th. Because of the 1 day, you know what I mean. But
why don't you do it on your 1 year anniversary? Do 2 shows.
What? Do a Monday show and a Tuesday show?
Sunday.
It's a Tuesday. 7th is a Tuesday.
Really?
Yeah, I'd have to go through my archives, but I believe it's on the 7th. Was the first day we did our show, our 1 year anniversary. And yeah.
Well, I could do that because then I could record how the facts went of that day on a broadcast. I could use it later, yeah.
So actually, February 16th, I'm sorry, was our first show. It was February 16th.
Well, I'd rather do it the next week anyway, so.
Yeah, well. What's that?
I said we could do it the next week anyway.
Yeah.
Or whenever.
Well, yeah, give you some time. Right, give you some time to digest it. Exactly.
Well, I think, well, if I even get a chance to get up, they won't usually let me, like in my daughter's case, not let me.
Yeah.
Rachel did all the things that she could to bring me in as a witness, and the judge denied it because he didn't want me to testify about the shadow docket because that docket was his docket.
Right. Right.
So here's yet a third or fourth foreclosure of this property that he's had under his nose the whole time. He knows it.
Now,
we told him that in writing.
Something else I want to mention when I touched on Winston Trout a while back there. Winston said something about going into the court. You can go in as a settler for the estate, and you can appoint the judge to settle the estate, to settle that account, and you can be both the beneficiary and the settler because you're the only contributor. Pretty weird.
Yeah, I know on the court side of this, it seems like to me they're doing, I've seen them do this trustee trustor.
That's right,
thing,
yeah. Yeah.
And they're not supposed to. And the bailee and bailor role is being used concurrently as well. And they don't...
Right, but they're holding a public office. They're supposed to be administrators. Right?
Yeah, it's conflicting right off the bat. They're walking both sides of the lines. And
exactly.
So I guess if somebody would let them know, I guess that you could ask, is this the only role you're acting in? But really, the courts are not judicial anymore. They're administrative only is what they said in Congress under
and that's unconstitutional.
House Bill 192, I think.
And that's unconstitutional.
Since February the 1st of this year, at least, that's when they turned over their safe harbor that they had, and they let it go, but they really didn't let it go. What they did was all of their illegal activities on the housing market, they turned it over to where now people can now come in and be prosecuted. They can take in people like you or me and say we did some kind of fraud. It's like a way to...
Yeah, but that's a bill of attainder. And those are unconstitutional as well.
Well, they're doing it.
It's I mean, administrative court is a bill of attainder. It's the same thing. If you get a traffic ticket, that's a bill of attainder. They were going to start
doing it back in October of 2015 is when they were doing this, when they said in October of 2015, they said that they were no longer judicial courts, that it was all administrative now.
Okay, well, it's all void then, because it's all bill of attainder. And that's all unconstitutional. And if they swore an oath, are they on their oath? I guess that's the question to ask, right? Are you on your oath today? You know? I mean, if you're following the Constitution, then you know that I shouldn't even come in your door. And actually, I told the court that. I said, you know what? You know I'm not a United States citizen. I shouldn't even be allowed through those doors. But you let me in. I don't know why. You're asking me to come in here. You know better. I set that paper right in front of the clerk, and she said, well, it has nothing to do with me. I said, no, it has everything to do with you. And that's why I sent a notice to you. I sent one to the federal, one to the state, and one to you. And then they told me I had to go to the town, so I took care of the fourth one, too. And it's even recorded there. Everything is in place. You know I should never even enter your doors. As a matter of fact, you should be standing at your doors telling me to get out. Unless I have a passport.
Somebody sent me.
Unless I have a visa, a passport and a visa.
Here's something somebody sent me. It says that to verify, go to reputable Dun & Bradstreet affiliate, www.manta.com, type in, and this is in quotations, state, that's capital S, little t, little a, little t, little e, / county, capital C at the beginning, little letters the rest, capital city, of, and then you put in the left box and enter the capital / county and seat / subject city in the right box, i.e., for example, Phoenix, Arizona, and you will get a lengthy list of that jurisdiction's illicit shadow corporate thieves. That's what it says. Let me go there and do this. We need to do a show where we share screen, huh?
Something like that.
This is how the researchers do it when they're getting online and collaborating.
Right.
They do it with a share screen, and they're showing each other everything. And then you got, like, in this instance, 3 people sharing their knowledge it'll spread 3 times as fast, and maybe even 9 times as fast. That's one of their favorite numbers, 3 and 9, which is 3 is the square root of 9, right?
Yes, and 9 is a magic number. It's a sacred number, yeah.
Services. How did I do that again?
You know what, Carol? I'm going to have to get together with you during the week sometime, whenever you have some time. And I'm going to pull up my recording. We'll go on Skype, and then we'll go from there. Because if we're going to share screens, I want to record it so I remember it. How's that?
Well, that'd be me too.
I can't
remember that.
Yeah, I can do a video recording like that, and yeah, that's what
I'm doing it right now.
You
I
are.
already know how my trading though. Yeah, they're trading on Wall Street.
Yeah.
They're trading on Wall Street as the Parks Department under Highland Heights Golf Course.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we got DNA testing, paternity testing here in Indiana listed.
Right.
467 results. Confidential nationwide accurate paternity testing.
I think that was a setup. You know, check your DNA, see where your heritage goes back, see where your family lineage goes. You know, have your DNA checked. And it's like, why? Why? The less information I give out, the better.
So that they can
have a sample of your...
They already have it. They already have all of it.
Oh, yeah.
They already have everything they need. It's probably just another way for them to come in with their patent.
And you know what?
I heard they can't patent it anymore. I heard they couldn't patent it. That somebody denied the Rothschilds' patent to DNA last month. That's what I heard anyway.
Now, also, if you use red ink, your red ink thumbprint, it has to be red ink because blood is a biohazard. But if you use red ink, it gets that DNA right in that ink, right from your thumb. So they've got your DNA. It doesn't need to be blood. Okay.
Well, they also got it as dirty paper. People that had put their blood on there, they got it. That gave them the ability, reportedly, to purge the records because of the biohazard blood prints that had been in there.
Yep.
Right.
That's why you do it in red ink.
All right.
Yeah, they don't want you to co-sanguigate either. I think that's the word, where you mix like where brother and sister are together. But on paper, they marry you as together. So they're committing that crime in your name, and that's where the recorder's office, and Renee did say this, the recorder's offices and all these offices, that's the problem too. They're the ones perpetrating the fraud.
Yeah, co-sanguinate. No, it's like what they'll do blood tests to see if one of the parents is Rh negative and one's Rh positive, because if they get pregnant, the body will actually try to kill the baby.
Well, yeah, I'm Rh negative, and I became sensitized, and I was with we had a baby. I had a baby with an Rh positive, and I'm an Rh negative.
Well, let me ask you, Rh negative what? What is your blood type?
0.
Oh.
You're O negative?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Such as I am. So we can give blood to everybody.
Yeah. See,
pretty much. Yeah.
I'm A positive.
Oh, bottom line. Yep.
See, so I'm Rh positive.
We don't got any monkeys on our back.
Yeah,
and
right.
some of them don't have any at all. Did you know there's a null negative?
Isn't that weird though? I mean, the Rh positive is like 85% of the population is some crap. I guess it varies now. But you get the Rh positive is the ape factor, and the Rh negative is the lizard factor.
Yeah,
isn't that weird?
Well, they might say it is, but really,
they might. Yeah.
An Rh negative doesn't have any antigens on its back.
Okay.
So we're missing antigens, and if you have a Rh negative null, which is a really rare one, it's kind of like a hemophiliac.
Yeah.
Those nulls don't have any at all, and they just bleed out because there's no antigens, little creatures that are attached to them, like a barnacle or something on a, or like a creature on a whale or something. So that Rh negative, actually, they're supposed to be super resistant to HIV and several other diseases. And what they do, they're calling it monkey. They're saying something about a rhesus monkey. That shot is given to women if they are with a positive man and they're going to have a child, so that the child isn't fought off by the antigens that are then produced that enters through the placenta to attack the fetus that's a O positive.
Right.
So that happened to me, and they took my blood every 3 days, and Christopher was very, very small, but
well, look, let me ask you, your mother and father, what were their bloods?
My mother's was O negative.
All right.
And she thinks that my father's was O negative, but I think it must have been O positive, but she thinks it was O negative too, because I don't know. I don't know my real father's private information. Although I met him, I was adopted by Bill Keihn, and he raised me my whole life. So the biological father I didn't meet till I was 29, and I never thought to ask him.
Well, no, you know, I've done a little research on this, and they claim that, well, the old negative people go back years and years ago, and it's because they were like sheep herders, all right? They gave to the sheep. However, the sheep could not give back to them. Now, being O negative, that has to be specialized. Otherwise, you can give to everybody. Can they give back to you? Survey says, it doesn't work that way.
Okay.
Well, they're trying to say it's the new... some people claim that, it's a clone system or something like that. I would hope that I am not part of a clone system, but they have a clone system going on in the courts, and it's those other 9 identities.
Right. Okay. Carol, anything you want to get out there?
Papa. Way to go.
Anything you want to get out there? Any recommendations you have for people or something like that?
No, I don't have any. I don't know.
YouTube
what the heck
channel?
Do you just,
YouTube channel, anything like
I
that?
just think that people should check their stories and check their documents and take a look for the backdating and anything that doesn't look right. And have a pencil and paper while you're doing it. Get you a cup of coffee and write down all the account numbers so you can say, wait a minute. They changed that twice on this company, my account numbers, my loan number. And so that you're keeping track while you're doing it, do it right, get organized.
And actually, they did that with my court case because the number was different on the court case than it was on the actual loan.
Well, and your name will be spelled differently. It'll be spelled different ways. Just like before. You'd look for Barry, let's say Barry Nestor Paul. Well, then it'll be Barry N. Paul. Then it'll be Barry Paul, then it'll be Mr. Paul the rest of the way. And then it'll be spelled Barry with an E and Barry with an A. I mean, they do that kind of stuff and it's in one brief. You'll be like, my God, they spelled the name wrong 4 different ways.
Right. And that's all.
And when you go to the court case, then into the system to see if there's any of those other ways they spelled it, a case entered, you're going to find cases on yourself that you didn't know you had. Parking tickets, things like that.
No kidding. Unreal. All right. That's it. Skills, anything you want to plug in here before you go? We're
Good
about
heavens,
out of time.
Thank you, Carol, for being on the show. Fantastic show. And you have indeed gained a bookload of knowledge that you had previously, but you just piled on top of that from the past 6 months, I believe, since we last had you on the show. But, alrighty, very good, Carol. God love you, man. And thank you, everybody, for listening tonight.
Carol, thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm telling
Anytime.
you are an asset and a half. I can't express it enough.
I am an ass, some of them think. I know
No, you're an asset. You're an asset.
I was supposed to pass away in 2013, and one of the lawyers looked at my daughter in this thing and said, wasn't your mother very sick and supposed to have expired by now? Rachel couldn't believe he said that to her. I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, you wish, buddy. This is what my death said. I'm like, well, just wait just a damn minute here. You're going to mess with my children like this? I don't think so.
There you go.
You haven't even begun to be sorry because they have dicked around with the wrong mother and grandmother, and that's a fact. I'm mad about this.
Anyway, thanks for listening to Show Us, Don't Tell Us. Head over to the website, lnmradionetwork.com, and head over to the Facebook. Sign up to our fan page, Show Us, Don't Tell Us. Have a great night. Thanks for listening.